Hi, Carnivals. You're here to pay your respects. Have a good stream. Thank you, Carnivals. Thank you, thank you. Hope you're doing good.
Be president. He is not, Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Take it to the bank. Okay. I guarantee it.
All right, all right.
I think if he becomes the president here, make it great, because the States is already great.
I think that man will be president of the United States right about the time that spaceships come down filled with dinosaurs and red capes.
On that note, Tom,
Take it from me. How about that?
Cheers, Tom.
And then, of course, there's Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Donald Trump, just last week, he confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
So when you stand and deliver that State of the Union address, in no part of your mind or brain can you imagine Donald Trump standing up one day and delivering a State of the Union address?
Well, I can imagine it in a Saturday night skit. I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
He will never be president of the United States.
And we better be ready for the fact that he might be leading the Republican ticket next.
I know you don't believe that, but I want to go on.
Sorry to laugh.
Okay, here we are. And which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones, right now, Donald Trump.
And so, right now, Mr. Trump, to answer your call for political honesty, I just want to say, you're not going to be president, all right? It's been fun. It's been great. I love you. But come on.
It has been fun.
Come on, buddy. All, let's say, cow poo-poo aside, there is zero chance we'll be seeing you being sworn in on the Capitol steps with your hand on a giant golden Bible.
I'll make a prediction, though.
Steps with your hand on a giant golden Bible.
I'll make a prediction, though, for you. And I don't really get into predictions much.
Hey, Keandre, how's it going?
I'll go way out on a limb. Donald Trump will never, ever be president of the United States. That Trump should not be in this race. He's an absurdity. He is a travesty.
Donald Trump will never be elected president of the United States.
Donald Trump is here today, gone tomorrow, candidate for president of the United States. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Ever respectful of the fact that the people have not voted, he's not going to be president of the United States.
Let's be clear. Donald Trump will
Going
lose
pretty
the election.
good. Thank you.
He had a really good chance to be different and really have a chance to change things, but he doesn't do the work. He's lazy.
We talk about him every day, and we continuously bash him.
He's not going to be the president. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
And we're coming to a point where if you're Hillary Clinton, you're honestly probably starting to think about not just whether you will win, but how big your win will be. And then you say that Donald Trump has the best day in the entire world, completely outperforms expectations, and he wins all of the toss-up states. He wins all 5 of those states, plus that electoral college vote in Maine that he's after. If he wins all of the toss-ups, which would be insane because nobody wins all of the toss-up states, even if Donald Trump did win all of the toss-up states, he would still lose.
To be a wake-up call to the Republican Party. Despite Boris thinking that Donald Trump could win New York, like this, the presidential race is over.
Could I just cut through? I have one thing to say, one thing only, and that is that this race is over. Tomorrow morning, the money will dry up. The Republicans will start to hide. Trump has no place to go. This race, effectively, as of tonight, is no longer a presidential race. I mean, everything I know about presidential politics, and I've been through 5 of them, I've never seen one like this. This race is over. You might as well accept it. And the question now is, how do you minimize damage? And the only way you can do that, it seems to me, is to try to grab hold of some old conservative value things and do what Mondale did in '84, which was try to save a few people down ballot. But as far as Donald Trump's concerned, it will never, ever, ever happen.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States.
A classic.
Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
Oh, there it is. There it is. So we have it, guys. They can't help themselves but look hypocritical. They not only did it once, but they did it twice. They never believed in Donald Trump, and it's crazy. It's a valuable lesson in that, to never, ever, ever count nobody out. Truthfully, I learned something in this life. Because the thing is, these people already thought they had it figured out. They thought they already had it in the bag. And it just goes to show the fact that they can do it multiple times, constantly claiming that Trump was automatically going to lose an election before it started. That tells us that these people already have systems in place to make them feel like they're comfortable in the win, to make them feel like they're comfortable in the presidency, which is the most important presidency in the world. That's not a stretch. That is the truth. But these people are always so arrogant in the way that they just talk about how Trump would never have been president. They did it once. They did it twice, which they never learned. I am so happy that we're in the era to see this happen again. And if you're not even political, seriously, if you're not political, and I'm speaking to the people that's not political specifically right here, there's a lesson in this. There's a real lesson in this. And to me, that lesson is really never give up on you. This man had every system that we trusted in the past and flipped it on his head. We trusted these people for truth. We trusted these people for the validation. And they all told us to trust their opinion on him losing. And they've been wrong. Trump single-handedly have taught people that if you believe in yourself, that you can be anything and will be anything. It is one of the most inspiring stories I've ever seen. I love the compilation. And to me, it's poetic justice. Trump has gotten everything he deserves. I remember seeing people saying Trump's going to get everything he deserves next year. He really is. I'm so happy to see it happen. I hope you guys enjoy the compilation. I'm going to do a brand new compilation if you guys want to see it with the new Harris content, because that's worth watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. This was just really a test run for it. If you like it, like I said, please let me know you want to see another one.
At this point, we can project Donald Trump will be the 47th president of the United States, winning what had been expected, of course, to be a razor-tight and historic race. And it has been just that. That projection coming to us from our CBS News partners. Donald Trump, America's 47th president.
Hey guys, my name is Modi and you're welcome to Modi Speaks. So I watched the 2024 election happen. I watched the campaign from both sides take place. I watched the interview from both candidates. I watched the publicity for both parties unfold. I watched the speakers and the supporters speak and support for both parties they belong to. And I watched the celebrities come out of their hiding place to speak among us common people. I watched the meltdowns, I watched the backlash, and I watched the fear-mongering perpetrated by people leading up to the election day. I watched everything unfold before my eyes, and I sat down and I took it all in. So today, I'm going to be sharing with you all my takeaways from this election and what I learned. But before we get into all that, I just want to implore you to subscribe to my channel if you've not already. Turn on the notification bell, like and share this video to keep people informed, and consider buying me a coffee or joining my membership if you like, again, as a way of supporting the channel. All right. The number one thing this election taught me is that Donald Trump supporters are not noisemakers. And I mean this in all seriousness, okay? A very great number of Americans agree with.
She's right, except I became a noisemaker. Not that, like, it's not so much that, like, it's not really about, like, supporting Donald Trump. It's about what Donald Trump is, like, stands for, at least, you know, this time around. And, like, it's what Canada needs as well. And so, like, I started making noise, but kind of only on X and my Discord. And then I kind of stopped making noise on my Discord. And I realized X, I can just, like, yell into the void and nobody's gonna really, like, care. So, but, like, yeah, I get what she's saying.
Support Donald Trump, but you won't even know that because they are not noisy about it. Prior to the election day, I was bombarded with so much noise and ruckus on social media coming from Kamala Harris supporters. I cannot go a few scrolls on social media without coming across a liberal ranting on and on about how America is going to have their first so-called female black president. I mean, it was everywhere. Liberal black women even started an online war with black men because black men were kind of choosing to support Donald Trump instead of the first female black president. If you don't see them making threatening crazy videos, you would find them in the comment section typing away, fighting with people. Now, I'm not saying that Donald Trump supporters did not say anything about supporting Donald Trump, but they were not up and about on every social media platform ranting on and on about Kamala Harris being this and being that. And even though I don't follow any liberals, I keep seeing their videos time and time again on my feed. And this was because these videos were too many, I think. So much so that TikTok started pushing it out to even people who have no interest in such videos. Most intelligent and reasonable people supported Trump, but they didn't speak up because there was no need to. Trump's policies made sense to most level-headed people. And we all know that most people with common sense are not parrots. They are not noisemakers. Now, I'm not saying that Donald Trump is an angel or the best candidate ever, but considering the alternative, he was the better option. And the majority of Americans preferred him over his opponent, but they were not vocal about it, so you didn't know. The liberals who had the time to ramble on and on in people's comment sections, making videos all over the social media, bullying, attacking people who disagree with them, having meltdown and disgracing themselves over political issues, were actually the minority, but they were loud and noisy, so they appeared to be the majority. But in reality, they were outnumbered by normal, intelligent people who supported Trump, but just went about their daily business as usual without making a fuss about it. They only kept quiet and spoke with their votes. This is the clear representation or manifestation of the proverb, action speaks louder than voice. The second thing I learned from the election is that celebrities no longer have the power they thought they used to have. Yeah.
Hold on. How you guys doing tonight?
What's interesting though is that the Democrats had like performances from celebrities back in 2016 as well, and they still, like, Donald Trump still won. So it still didn't even work back then. But I think it was a lot closer back then compared to like this time around.
How you guys doing tonight? Are we ready to make history? Are we ready to make history?
They sure did make some history. The teleprompter broke and she had to like read off a phone. And well, she looks great though.
Are we ready to change these 4 years? No. Are we ready to change the next 8 years? Because we're gonna make sure we have Kamala Harris in office for 8 years. Thank you.
How many celebrities were booked for the Harris Walz campaign? Uncountable. It was as though the gates of Hollywood were shattered and all the celebrities came surging, running to support a particular candidate. The Democrats selected special and extremely influential celebrities from almost all ethnicities in order to win them votes. We saw the likes of Jennifer Lopez, Hunniebee, LeBron James, Oprah Winfrey, Taylor Swift, Selena Gomez, Lady Gaga, Megan Thee Stallion, Justin Vernon, Eminem, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Julia Roberts, John Legend, Stevie Wonder, and the list goes on. These celebrities use their massive influence to sway their followers into voting for Kamala.
That's a lot of, like,
but did it work?
I knew it was a lot, but that's a lot.
It didn't. We saw celebrities who were not even intelligent enough to give speeches without using a teleprompter, telling people who to vote for. These celebrities thought they would just swoop in and instruct people, command people, tell them who to vote for, and people would just fall to their feet and comply, as if they were slaves. But they got a reality check this time, because the people are wiser now. They no longer pander to even celebrities. They have woken up and they have realized that they are not puppets, and these celebrities are not gods. This is why all the publicity that these celebrities made for Kamala Harris fell on deaf ears, and Donald Trump still won. The final thing I learned from this election is that Democrats practically ruined the presidential race for themselves, and they did that by doing two things. One, they selected the worst candidate for the job, a candidate who can't even engage in meaningful and brilliant conversations, who can't give a concise answer to a direct question without boring you to sleep with her word salad. a candidate with no reasonable and authentic policies she can call her own. Most of her policies were plagiarized from Donald Trump, and those she came up with herself are mainly horse shit. 2. They channeled their campaign promises into attacking Donald Trump and demonizing him, blaming him for one thing or the other. They believe that they would just win the election just by pointing out Trump's shortcomings instead of driving across their own message. And this cost them the support they were looking for. I was going to say that the fourth lesson I learned from this election is that most Kamala Harris supporters are suffering from mental health issues, okay? Most of them need to be in mental asylums, judging from these reactions I'm seeing on social media. But I'm not going to say that, so I'm just going to keep quiet and rest my case. So there you have it, the 3 things I learned from the United States 2024 presidential election.
I put her channel in the chat if anyone's interested. Is this a censorship? Let me see what she has to say about this. Actually.
Before Ben's incident, this coffee would never have been called sweet. More like bitter. But after so many hours in physio, that cup of coffee...
This was my favorite meltdown. I don't know why. I don't know why.
It's alright. It's alright. I feel that way too. It's...
What's happening to the audio? Maybe she's muting it because the lady screams. Oh, okay. Well, that kind of ruins it, but that's fine.
Whew, now calm down, ma'am.
Poor lady,
Calm
it's
down.
gonna be okay.
Take a
It's
deep
gonna be
breath.
okay.
Just like you said, it's gonna be all right. Everything is gonna be okay. I don't understand why people lose it this way. I just don't get it. Why do some liberals feel like their lives are over? They feel like Donald Trump is out to get them. No, he's not. Unless you're one of the degenerate, despicable human beings, then yeah, his administration might not favor you at all. If you are not a reprobate, then I don't think you have anything to worry about. In fact, I was thinking that you will be thrilled to have a president whose greatest passion is to make your country as great as ever. Instead of disgracing yourself online and posting a crazy video that will turn you into an eternal object of ridicule, I suggest you sit back, relax, and give Donald Trump a chance to win your admiration or lose your respect. And honestly, from the look of things in just these past 2 or 3 days, I think you might come to like his administration after all.
Donald Trump's not even president yet. Have you seen what's happened in the last 48 hours? The misogynist appoints the first ever woman to be chief of staff. The Taliban announced they want peace with America and to be taken off the terrorist list. Putin came out and said that Western civilization is not an enemy. Mexico has started securing the border in, of course, response
I think we
to
watched this
Saudi Arabia is kicking out all of their Hamas leaders. New York is cleaning up their illegal migrant crisis. Xi Jinping came out and said he wants to peacefully coexist with China and said that they respect American people. The European Union chief finally came out and said, hey America, can we start buying LNG from you so they stop buying from Russian gas? Putin says he takes Donald Trump's plan to end the war with Ukraine very seriously.
This is kind of I feel like a lot of this news has already evolved into new news or updated. Or I need to check the
This is giving me hope, and it should give you,
this was from
a bona fide citizen of the United States of America, more.
Let's see, maybe stuff from today. This was pretty good. Ellie! Oh my gosh, how are you? Thank you so much for the raid, Ellie. How you doing? How was your stream? Overwatch.
Show me your TV's mercy, please.
No.
Ooh, games with friends, nice.
If I get the play of the game.
Stream is good, nice. Hey Zach, how are you?
Can you please?
I love your laugh, Ellie.
Oh, I'll think about it.
You're good, nice, good to hear, good to hear. Guys, go check out Ellie. She's the best. She is. What are you doing nowadays? What's Meyer Civilization? Or playing games with friends. So, yeah, guys, go check out Ellie. Lots of love. Aw, no, you are. The clip is so big. Yeah, I want to really like display. Is it too big? Do you think it's too big? Move it over a bit. Oh, okay, I'll move it over. Oh, it's huge. Hold on. Let me fix that. Whoops. I want it to be like, I still want it to be pretty big to kind of like show off the highlight. So I don't mind if it covers me. Maybe I'll move it over here and let's see what happens. Let's do. Hi Chad. Trump is GOAT. Nice. Excuse me. I think he's pretty boss. And I think you know, so far, like I really like the censorship thing that he was talking about. That sounds pretty, it sounds like what we need, you know? It's what the world needs. Oh, thank you, Ellie. Good night. Have a great night. And thank you again so much for the raid. I really appreciate it. Guys, go check out Ellie. She's the best. And I'm gonna do one more Ellie raid so we can test out the new
What was I gonna be? I forgot. Oh god, it's the hag!
There.
Hag
now I'm not as covered. Age verification.
I hate the hag chat.
Age
For anyone who might be
verification.
new to the stream, I hate the hag the most. Why? Because she scares me all the fucking— Oh god!
Social media should be. Oh yeah, I think, did he mention? I'm not sure if he mentioned that, but I feel like people are talking about it. So, yeah. Period. That's, yeah, probably. That's probably for the best. Oh, you're welcome, Ellie. Thank you again so much. I hope you have a great night. Talk soon. Sleep well. All the dumb streamers like Hassan and Destiny would be out of a job. Wait. Oh my god. That's funny. Not my words, not my words. Gotta be careful in these streets, as Kamala would say. Red flag for real. Since their entire audience are kids. You hate Destiny? Like, I also dislike, like, his takes are really dumb. What the hell? What? Like, I don't want to say too much, but it's just like, bro, what? Okay, good night, Ellie. Have a great night. Be careful in these streets. And brain dead people like Tate wouldn't be around. Oh gosh. Like one extreme to another, eh? Chad guy, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Excuse me. We are watching some... Did I watch this yet? I think I did watch that. This is unbelievable. Oh, what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened with Trudeau? This was posted 18 hours ago. The title is "There is no way Trudeau is this stupid."
Trump's going to do. He's going to lower the business tax rate to 15%.
You're more of a
Our
libertarian. You believe in freedom, however, there's gotta
no carbon
be
tax in
checks
the
and
US.
balances. Like, I believe in freedom, right? It's like, how is censoring is fine, right? Like, you want to censor like the bad stuff. You don't want to like take down someone's video because, you know, it doesn't go with the narrative or whatever. Like, that's fucked up. So I'm not okay with that. And that's not freedom. And they act like it is somehow. Like, shut up.
We have to think about, how do we lower emissions without a carbon tax? The Americans do it. How could we do it?
Hey friend, it's Jasmine Lane.
I don't have a copy, but I'm gonna donate to the charity.
Which is really too bad, because boy, if they were willing to listen, there is so much that they could learn. Really, in pure democratic fashion, if you want to win the public's approval, you want to win the vote, you should probably, I don't know, listen to the public. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, and of course, share your comments down below.
I look forward to working with President Trump once again to strengthen North American economic opportunities for the middle class.
As you just heard there, the Prime Minister says he's looking forward to working with President Donald Trump again, but
do I like Freedom Tunes? What is that?
Trump's first term. The renegotiation of NAFTA was a roller coaster. Trump imposed punishing tariffs on Canadian.
Do you see how long this guy? Do you see how long this guy has like been our prime minister? We're tired. We're ready for a whole government overhaul, just like Trump is gonna do. It's a new world. It's a new era, guys. We are the media now. Okay.
Let's not forget the interpersonal challenges between the two leaders. Remember this?
I like Babylon Bee.
2019 and Trump's response.
So Freedom Tunes is like a similar thing.
Well, he's two-faced.
What do you say?
I wanted to start off with a quick question, if I could, Mr. Morneau, on the outcome of the election. And if it caught you by surprise at all, or if you have an understanding of why, in your view, Trump did win, what you think the issue set was.
Well, I have to be honest, I wouldn't have taken a bet one way or the other because the polls were so hard to read.
I was so confident that Trump was going to win. Like, it was impossible for Kamala to win because what's it called? There's a word for it. There's a word for it, and what is it? What is the word I'm trying to think of? Funny stuff? let me check them out on Twitter. What is it? Freedom Tunes. This guy? Or this guy. Same. There's a word that I'm thinking of. And
but fundamentally, I thought
she wasn't going to win no matter what.
The challenge.
And I should have bet money on it. Oops.
I wanted to start off with of the election.
challenge.
I should have bet money.
That
like, what the hell?
You know, the incumbent, effectively, Harris was facing was inflation, and that's a pretty important challenge for any incumbent government these days. So I don't think we should be surprised that people decided that they wanted to look to a new team, and that's the challenge we face in all Western democracies.
Excuse me. Oh,
Ms.
my.
Ambrose, was it inflation? Is that the key, do you think?
I think
it was so much more than just inflation, but that, yeah.
I think it was inflation,
You
and
could
I
say.
think, look, I think but it must have been more than that, because his win was so overwhelming. I mean, that is what shocked me the most. I mean, people called him a racist, a Nazi, and everything else, and yet he increased his vote amongst women, amongst minorities, in places that in New York.
The people like educated themselves, I think. I honestly think that, like, you know, mainstream media is pretty much dead. Nobody watches TV anymore. Everyone has subscriptions. And then news is pretty much on YouTube. You know, whatever platforms you're using, maybe TikTok. But TikTok is like, I don't know. Funny how Kamala thought she was gonna win when she got endorsed by Dick Cheney. He's the biggest war hawk. Like, did any of them really actually believe they were gonna win?
In places that
the picture, the photo of the daughter-in-law, the stepdaughter crying next to like the dad and the husband and the other guy, like, and they're all Tim. So they're all crying, and it's like, did they really think they were gonna win? There's no way. Like, I don't understand from my perspective here, a Torontonian in Canada, like, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm trying to, I don't know, whatever. I feel like it was so obvious what was going to happen, because I could see all the different complaints that people were having, because they're the same complaints that we're having and that we've been having. So anyway.
Totally Democratic. I mean, it was shocking.
Me and my
I
tangents.
thought he would win because he had the momentum behind him. And Kamala Harris made some serious missteps in how she was communicating what she would do different from Biden. But there's got to be more to it. And I think part of it is this sense that Trump, as the strong man, is going to do whatever it takes to protect the borders, to protect the jobs.
Yeah, what's
that's like in the world that feel chaotic right now. And it's the way he talks to people. And I think that resonated with a lot of Americans.
That is the problem with identity politics. You say these things to further divide your communities and to pit people against each other, which is a horrible thing for any government to do, and many are guilty of it. But when you've had a government doing that for 9 years, you are absolutely going to finally see a breaking point where people say, you know what, actually, I'm tired of being called names. I'm tired of being scared to talk about things that really matter. I'm tired of the ideological government that has turned our society into this place. And that is exactly what we saw with Donald Trump winning as significantly as he did. It came as no surprise. To be honest, the only reason why I speculated he might not win was because I thought perhaps they would take him out. It was very clear that the left did not want
That's exactly
to win.
how I feel.
But finally, the right is starting to get its voice back.
It's not,
it's not even just the right. It's like it's people even just in the middle, because like it just makes sense for, you know, it just
talking about that stuff, Mr. Morneau. He put some specifics on the table about how he was, for example, going to protect the American economy and American jobs. And chief among that is this across-the-board 10% tariff
How's it going?
On imports.
Pierre
imports.
needs to be PM. I don't know. I hear he's a globalist too. So I hear he's a globalist puppet as well. So
from
I'm
the
not
application of those tariffs. If you were still finance minister, how much would that worry you?
Well, obviously, it's worrying everyone.
So
a
we
lot,
need to question,
around
but
the
I don't
world,
know.
not
Could
just in
just
Canada.
be.
I expect that
people
what we need to do
doomsdaying.
now is to think about how we can, communicate as we did last time, the importance of the Canada
Who's that
US
one
trade
Canadian dude
relationship.
who doesn't like
But
Justin?
we're
Yeah,
gonna need to
Pierre.
go further. We're going to need to think
Is
about
that
what
Rona Ambrose? I'm
policy
not sure who
initiatives,
that
what
is, no to
substance
bud.
can we actually
Also,
think
welcome to the
about
chat.
that
How are
will
you?
align with the kinds of things that the new president is going to want to focus on. So we'd be worried, and we should be worried, and we
Why
need to
worried?
be on the top of our game and think about what
I'm
we can do
excited.
to improve our outcomes.
Justin
I'm gonna quickly
Trudeau is
follow up with
out
you
of
before I go
here.
back to Ms. Ambrose and ask.
He's next.
When you think about what those kinds of policies might be, what are they? What are a couple of things that you think the federal government should pursue that would be in line with the type of things that you think
Would a
would
globalist give the people
resonate
back
in the White
their
House now?
firearms privileges?
Well, the world's changed a lot.
I'm not saying
since
that
the
he is a
last
globalist. I'm just saying that we need to make sure we question everyone.
So with that, you need to
Everyone,
think about,
you know, like
defense.
I'm actually going
Obviously-
to because I know. Listen, I know People's Party is not going to win, but I think it's a good time for them to make a name for themselves. But I'm going to remove this from my. I'm gonna remove this just because I think it's best to be unbiased and question everyone. So, but I'm not gonna do that right now because I don't know what to replace it with.
The technology has risen as a critical determinant of
Kevin?
the
Who's Kevin?
status of the U.S. versus
Mr.
China.
Wonderful?
So we need to think about how we align with the U.S. in the technology sector. And
The moment
obviously,
they
we're gonna need to
reverse
think
the
about
gun
some of the
bans, you're buying a
economic
50 cal
issues
just
that
to
we're going to face.
just to
So
spite those
energy
freaks.
security is going to be critical. We're going to be forced to think about the
Just
dairy
to spite
sector.
who?
So as I go through those one by one, we will need to think about how we get to our defense spending targets more rapidly than the government has currently laid out. We're going to need to think about, you know, whether we focus on energy security in a way that makes us clearly an important part of the U.S. sector that way. And that means we have to ask ourselves, is it really the right time for
Kevin O'Leary?
caps on emissions? Is it that we need to be moving really fast on carbon capture
I think he
and sequestration
makes
at the
sense.
same time? So that'll be
I think he has
critically
common
important.
sense, but him as
And
the
we'll need
prime
to ask
minister,
ourselves,
I mean,
and,
I don't know.
This is some hard questions. Should we really
I'd have
move
to
forward
hear-
on a
I'd have
digital
to hear,
services tax on
you know, his
technology
policies
when
and stuff like that,
technology is
but-
going to be a critical issue for the U.S. to
I think he I think he bashes Trudeau, so I think I like him.
stay in the ascendancy? And should we?
But I follow him, but I don't know, like.
Looking carefully
What do you think?
at our supply
Oh, he's a
managed
grifter.
sectors
Okay.
to
Why do you
think about
think
what
he's
we're
a
gonna do
grifter?
when we're inevitably faced with that
Trudeau and his
issue
freaks. Oh,
in an
FTX
upcoming discussion.
Pumper.
So
FTX Pumper.
these
Is
are
that
hard policy
the Shark
choices.
Tank guy?
I think they're the right things to be putting on the table to think about now. It's not only about having great relationships, it's also about the substance of what we're actually going to do to be a good partner to the United States.
If I interpret that right, Ms. Ambrose, it's like the context has changed. So the government, and I know, as a conservative, you would disagree with some of the stuff the government has pursued, but putting aside,
America
I guess,
needs to
that
deport
view,
all
like,
the
does
migrant.
changing
No,
context
don't
in the
no.
States,
We
as
have
Mr.
so
Morneau
many.
points out,
We have so many
kind of
immigrants.
necessitate a different approach on stuff that has been ideologically valuable to the government.
Why do we need to feel your
Absolutely.
pain?
We are
We
in a
already have our
completely
own.
different situation.
Listen,
I mean, the
this is
government
how I
has
know
an
you're not.
economic-
This is how I know you're not educated, Chad. No offense, but you don't even know that we're having our own migrant crisis, bro. We've been feeling the pain. We've had a liberal government or I don't know for how long, but we've been under Trudeau's thumb for over 8 years, 9 years now. And we've been feeling the pain. And I've been fighting for you guys to vote for Trump so that you don't have to go through another 4 years of the Democrats. So you're welcome, Chad. And no, we don't need to feel your pain. No, quit scaring the immigrants. You let them in, you keep them. Dude, on a per capita basis, we let more people in than you. Are you talking to me? Or are you talking to Chad? And no to Bud, are you in Canada? Where are you?
Update coming up, I think at the end of November. And I would recommend that if they've written it, they rewrite it and they look at it and make sure that it outlines the domestic
You're Canadian?
economic
Okay.
policies that will make us competitive. I mean, we've got
Too
two
bad.
trains coming at us. We've got the tariff.
Well,
war
I'm gonna
that's
move to
coming at us,
America, so it's okay.
From Trump, there's only so much we can control there. And as Bill said, there's things that we can put on the table and we've got to hit back hard and retaliate with our own tariffs. but the other is within our control, and that's our domestic economic policies.
Idaho?
And we know what Trump's
How do
going
you
to
like
do.
Idaho?
He's going to lower the business tax rate to 15%. Our combined federal provincial is 38%. There's no carbon tax in the
Idaho.
U.S.
What
We
do
have
you
to
mean,
think about
Idaho?
how do we lower emissions without a carbon tax? The Americans do it. How could we do it? We've just put a cap on production in our oil and gas sector, and we're the only country in the world to do that, which makes energy more expensive. Trump is saying he's going to deregulate in all kinds of sectors to make energy cheaper as an input for businesses and homes. So we just increased the new capital gains tax inclusion rate, which is a drain on innovators, small businesses, startups. All of these things that we've been pursuing, which is a higher tax agenda, right from the carbon tax to the capital gains tax, is a drain on productivity and it's a drain on investment.
Are you starting to see it now? All of these things that the Liberals brought
2 miles
in
away from
It's
Canada?
so compassionate. It's so
What?
nice.
You
It's so
usually
great
visit
that we're
Canada
doing
just
these
for the
things.
poutine. No
But
way.
no, it's actually absolutely horrible. It's making everything more expensive. It's making people pull out of our economy, big businesses. It's making people not want to invest in Canada, and that is hurting us. But they keep saying, we got to do this. Well, why are they saying that? Could it be because they have printed so much money, because we are in a debt larger than we've ever seen before as a country due to their overspending in these ridiculous ideological things that nobody asked for, and the general public has also said quite loudly, we don't actually want. And so, of course, the Trudeau government wants carbon tax. Of course, they are going to try their best to convince you that you want it. Of course, they're going to put on all of these new taxes because they have no money. They have spent all of our money to fund these things that we didn't agree to and don't want for their own ideological gain.
Rona spreading fake news
Got to
that
become
nice.
more
We haven't
competitive,
passed
and we're
the
not
cap
doing that
gains
here at home. We have a
increase.
chance to do that. And
Rona,
we're going to continue to be
who's
uncompetitive
what
with
do
the
you
U.S.
mean
if we
when you
don't.
say
You've been on
Rona?
the inside of this government, Mr. Morneau. Do you think there will be a willingness to do that? And I ask because, you both point out, for example, the cap on emissions that was just introduced last week, the digital sales tax, a host of other things. Like, that is in line with what the government says their
this
values
woman?
are.
Which woman?
Is it a hard pivot for them to make, Mr. Morneau, or do you also view it as one they have to?
Well, Ron and I largely agree on the fact that we really need to consider the fact.
This? Are you talking about this? This is Jasmine. This is Jasmine, as far as I know. And then the two ladies here, I don't know who they are.
And we're not doing that here at home. We have a chance to do that. And we're going to continue to be uncompetitive with the U.S. if we don't.
You've been on the inside of this government, Mr. Morneau. Do you think there will be a willingness to do that? And I ask because, you both point out, for example, the cap on emissions that was just introduced last week, the digital sales tax, a host of other things. Like, that is in line with what the government says their values are. Is it a hard pivot for them to make, Mr. Morneau?
The one on the panel on the left, got it. Rona, Ambrose, and Vassie. And so...
Well, Ron and I largely.
Oh, so
agree on
she's spreading
the
fake
fact
news.
that
It sounds like it.
We really need to consider the fact that the world has changed. So, if you're asking, do I think it'll be tough for the government?
your days are numbered, bro.
To come to
all
decisions
these
that we need to make in order to
these
have
mainstream
a good
people,
chance
your
of having
days
a
are
strong
numbered.
position in our negotiations? Yes, it'll be
First-
tough for them
first
to come
is
around
gonna
to that,
come
but
the American
I don't think
companies.
there's really a choice. We need to think about how
your
we
days
can
are
better
numbered.
align ourselves with their goals.
And I mean
We
that
need to
in
understand
a
the legitimacy
career
of their
sense.
election and the fact that
And
Trump
in
has
game also,
a real
just in
mandate,
case.
and so he needs to follow through on that mandate. And the only way we can enable ourselves to be successful in that negotiation is by moving in directions that make sense for us and that make sense for us to work together with them. And
Do you think the government should pause or delay the cap on emissions?
Well, my view is that energy
excuse
is one of
me.
the most important sectors in Canada.
How do
Clearly,
I,
it's a hugely important issue for the United States, energy security. So we should look at that and say, how can we meet our our goals from a climate standpoint. And I would identify, moving faster with the energy industry on carbon capture and sequestration. And at the same time, I would question whether putting caps on emissions right now is the right time.
So in essence, like many of us already knew, the vast majority of Trudeau's climate policies and taxes are stupid. Not just because they are very harmful to the economy, growth, and development of our
Alchemist.
country. They're also
I'm back, yeah.
on a global
Pretty different
scale
look. I tried to give
in
myself
terms of
highlights.
our partnerships and how
and I
much
ruined
people
it.
respect
So,
Canada. I'm Jasmine Lane. Thank
I
you
had to
so
add
much
more
for hanging
blonde.
out with me. I'd love to know your take on this
I like
issue.
it, though.
Is there hope? Do you feel like Canada is doomed? Do
Oh,
we
thank
need an
you.
election now? Let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe if
Thank you so
haven't
much,
already.
Alchemist. I
Like
hope you're
the
doing
video,
well as well.
and I will talk to you very soon.
Bill Morneau, Big Loser. Oh, quiet. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Alchemist. Thank you for stopping by. It's good to see you. Oh. Actually, this is a good time for me to see how this thing works. How do I do this? Learn more. Ooh. I'm gonna donate to the charity. Okay. Let's try $1 and see. Is it just gonna go through automatically? Oh, wait. Oh, okay, hold on. Oh, shoot. Continue. PayPal. Ooh, I can use PayPal. Awesome. Let's see if the alert also works when I do it. Did it work? I heard something. Oh, it's working! Oh, that's awesome. Woohoo! Yes. So yeah, guys, just in case you're wondering, I like started a little charity / fundraiser for sorry, I should know the name. It's a hold on, it's right here. I have it here. It is the Veterans Association Food Bank. That's the one. And yeah, so today's Veterans Day. Actually, it was yesterday technically because it's already midnight, but I'm gonna like leave the charity going for the rest of the month. And yeah, I just thought that was something cool we could do. And I've never like done a fundraiser before or charity stream before or streams. So I thought it would be a good time to start. So yeah. All right, let's now continue watching stuff. Oh, Chad guy, do you want to send me, what is that, a link? Look up Trump on White Guys for Harris. Okay, hold on.
This Black Friday at Canadian Tire,
And
shop
just in
prices
case,
that won't go lower this year
you
with new
guys are
deals each week.
curious,
So you can buy what's on
this
their wish
is the
list
website.
before they even make it.
But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president.
Is this the one?
And I actually said,
oh, it's a
do you
funny
mind if I
roast.
do that? He said, no, you got to do what you got to do. He's a pro. He's a professional. No, he's a good man, actually. I hate to say it. Don't ever use it against me, please. I'll say this dinner was really setting me back when I say it now, but I've known him a long time. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me.
This is old but funny. But yeah, I've heard it though. This is the one, right? He's a comic genius. He's funny. Like, did you guys see? There was like a I don't know, like a maybe 18-minute documentary style video of like Trump with his team kind of live reacting to Kamala's speech. Maybe it was like the first speech at one of the DNC thingies. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to see this. I wanted to see what she said.
We've got to spend another minute. Yes, another minute on Joy Reid. It's a TikTok situation.
Hold on. She said another, so maybe there might be a before or like more Joy Reid stuff. I don't know. 2 days ago, 10 hours ago, 10 hours ago. Yeah, it's fine. It's probably fine.
We've got to spend another minute. Yes, another minute on Joy Reid. It's a TikTok.
The Jubilee vids.
Situation
I've seen like
her ass is
a
fired.
few. I've
It's
seen
just-
them in
there's no
passing.
way.
I've seen them, but I haven't clicked on them because it's like to watch one side debate another. It's just like I don't need the anxiety. I'm good. I already know how it's gonna go down. You know, I'm good.
MSNBC, which is in a full meltdown now about how bad their losses were. There's no way they can keep this woman. I realize they're in the same problem that the Democrat Party is. Like, they have a base that they need to keep. But she and her little friend, Ellie Mistel, are truly the most racist people on television. And here's her latest messaging, as some groups, indeed, are reportedly planning some march, like the Women's March. Now they're trying to get a march ready. That'll do it. They're going to bust out their pea hats again. Okay, all right.
Pea hats? What?
It worked out so well the last time. And listen to Joy Reid's reaction.
Hey, I just want to give some free advice to the white progressives, particularly white progressive women who may be thinking about marching against the Trump victory, maybe putting back on the P-word hats and doing that thing. I would just say probably
Gamer
don't
Jam,
send
how's it
any of
going?
those
Democrats
invites to
and
any black women you
Republicans
know.
have a rule that you can blame the
I'm just
other
gonna tell you right now,
side
they're not
for
coming.
the economy
Like,
failing people, but you
I'm
can't blame
pretty sure
the
black women
economic
have
system
resigned
itself.
from
Sorry,
the
let me
Save
restart
America.
this because I just want to see what she's saying. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Focusing on dimwits like Reid is just beating a dead horse. I mean, yes, but also views, I guess. I don't know. Like, it's you know what it is? It's not about beating a dead horse. It's about wanting the people who think it's okay to understand why it's not okay.
Action.
I guess, you know what I mean?
Give some free advice.
But let's
to,
see what she says.
The white progressives, particularly white progressive women who may be thinking about marching against the Trump victory, maybe putting back on the P-word hats and doing that thing.
What does she mean by that? P-word hats. You're a good boy. You're such a good boy. What do you need? You hungry? Sorry guys, I will be right back. I'm just gonna feed him.
I would just say probably don't send any of those invites to any black women you know. I'm just going to tell you right now, they're not coming. Like, I'm pretty sure black women have resigned from the Save America Coalition, Save Democracy Coalition, and definitely the Save the Democratic Party Coalition. I think that's probably not happening. I would just keep those invites maybe among your own friends, because I don't think they're coming. But yeah, I think black women are now on the Save Black Women, Prioritize Black Men, and Prioritize Black Communities, Black Businesses, and that, and you know, the black spaces. But Save America, Save the Democratic Party, yeah, I don't think that's happening.
Presenting Odd Piece.
Thoughts?
Okay. First of all, where is your hair? What happened to your hair?
Did she have? Wait, hold on. I thought she was always like that.
Trump.
I thought her hair was always like
I
that.
would just keep those invites maybe among your own friends.
First of all, where is your hair? What happened to your hair, Joy Reid? It's gone. Like, it's gone from, like, it looked like Trump's hair. And now it's gone altogether. Anywho,
she had a
when you
quiff?
get bitter and bitter and bitter. And we've seen all these women shaving off their hair online. Have
Did
you seen
she shave it?
This
No.
is like part of the resistance effort to telegraph that you hate Trump. These, you know, somewhat okay-looking women are shaving off their hair. So I don't know if that is what she did there, but we already knew that you were a far lefty. You didn't have to shave your head. Second of all, the nerve.
Isn't she the one that's like, oh no, another war or something?
Happens,
or was
right?
that not her?
Emily, she looks at the white progressive women as it like, what more self-flagellation could white progressive women have done to earn the little pat on the head from the Joy Reids of the world? Ladies, pay attention. It doesn't get you anywhere. If the conservative women or the more moderate white women let you down, you will be lumped in. Your whiteness comes first before your progressivism does in this battlefield. You will be diminished. You will be rejected by the Joy Reids of the world until what? Until Joy Reid gets her way at the ballot box, Emily.
Well, and Joy Reid is really speaking on behalf of elite progressive black women. She's not speaking on behalf of black women as a whole, because what we've seen over and over again in polling is that the sort of Democratic Party and its activists are far further to the left of actual black voters, Hispanic voters, than they are themselves. So on issues like policing, on issues like economics, like they tend to be cultural issues for sure.
My baby.
The people like
All right,
Joy
BRB
Reid,
again.
who are in elite media spaces, are
I'm
further
gonna
to the
let it
left.
play.
And so her sort of going and giving this free advice as though anybody should care about her free advice after what just happened and her performance as a journalist over the course of the cycle is hilarious. But I am curious what MSNBC does about like overt racism coming from Joy Reid and Nellie Nostal, which happens all of the time on their shows. Do they now recognize it as toxic racism? Now that it's sort of been clear, it's been rejected by voters, it kind of gives them license to say, all right, this is not working. This is too far. This is radical. This is extremism. We're platforming it. You know, those executives in the C-suites who are thinking through these questions, do they now say we have to stop platforming this extreme racism and acting like it's constructive and healthy? I'm actually pretty curious about that.
Me too. Here's a little bit more from her warnings post his victory, Eliana Sot 20.
Don't think because you have a green card and came through the right way, if you're brown, you may not stick around. I don't think they care whether you have a green card or not. They're pulling people out and
Oh my God, she's so full of it. What do you mean? They're taking people out. You don't know what they're doing. They're just taking. They're already taking people.
All brown people, even if you're here legally. Like.
She's crazy.
NBC owns MSNBC, and this organization is allowing her to spew this racist hate on their channel that he's going to deport all brown people, even those here legally, Eliana. Truly, how long can Can they allow this? And can that party with that kind of thinking
It's
survive?
crazy how like they censor you for speaking the truth, but people like her can just spew lies and no censorship needed. Like, what the fuck?
You know, there have been a couple news articles that have floated the idea that NBC, that Comcast may sell MSNBC. And I do think that's being floated for reasons like this, because although the cable news network, or the cable news arm of the network makes money, it does cause some problems for the larger enterprise. And I wouldn't be totally shocked to see that happen. A lot of the headlines they make are for clips like the ones you just played, and it's now intentionally being floated in the press that this thing may be spun off into its own orbit. And Joy Reid will be a big part of that, but also, you know, some of the stuff that's on Morning Joe and elsewhere, it is all over the network, which has intentionally defined itself as a resistance network. You know, you recall the absolute hysterics over the fact that Ronna McDaniel was brought on as a contributor, where it was MSNBC hosts that torpedoed something that NBC was trying to do. She was supposed to be a contributor for NBC, and things like that. So I actually wouldn't be shocked to see it be sold.
Because why? Because she was a paid liar.
Because
she attacked the media. And it's like that. They're worried about her being a paid liar from a woman who's saying Trump is going to deport all brown people, even those who are here left. But they care about honesty, Eliana.
Because it's a constant public relations liability for the larger NBC News Comcast enterprise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, indeed. And look, the stuff that she's peddling, like if she wants a race riot, that's really what you take away listening to Joy Reid. She actually does want some sort of rioting in the streets, some sort of race revolt. She had on this person, again, this is just on Friday. This is an ancient history, to counsel people who don't want to be around their family members who voted Trump. And sadly, this actually may have been necessary, because if you go online, you will see a ton of lunatics who actually are talking about disowning family members who voted Trump. Listen here.
You know someone voted that way. Do you recommend, just from a psychological standpoint, being around?
The whole point of the Democratic or being left or whatever, like the whole point is that you don't generalize. You don't, assume just because everyone voted a certain way. Literally, more than half the country voted a certain way, and you're gonna alienate more than half the country? Like, okay.
Around them. We got the holidays coming up.
So I love that you asked this question, because, there is a push, I think just a societal norm that if somebody is your family, that they are entitled to your time. And I think the answer is absolutely not. So if you are going into a situation where you have family members, where you have close friends
that voted red and not
who have voted in ways that are
not that are bad people, that voted red. So stupid. But if they're bad people and they voted blue, it's totally fine, right?
Like what you said, against your livelihood.
So dumb.
And it's completely fine to not be around those people and to tell them why. To say, I have a problem with the way that you voted because it went against my very livelihood, and I'm not going to be around you this holiday. I need to take...
The thing is, it actually doesn't go against your livelihood. And I'm not sure that you genuinely believe that, or if you're, paid to say stuff like that.
Space for me. And I actually talked to, adults as well as advising parents for children.
This is an old clip, though, already.
I don't think that you should force children. I don't think you should have forced adults to be around.
I'm over it.
We've got to spend another minute. Yes, another minute on Joy Reid.
Some political analysts, guys.
You know these guys? They're the professionals. They're the experts. Right? Let's listen to what they say.
And he said, "Oh, but the numbers are so close." I said, "I'm a
She's
political
not-
analyst. I'm telling you right now, the numbers are
She's
there.
not the only
taking
one.
This election." And then I said to him,
This
"You
one-
realize," and he didn't tell
this
me who
one's
he voted
old.
for, but
She-
of course I knew. And I said, "You do realize you wasted your."
Clinton Jaws, Canadian news is an absolute joke. It's a joke. It's a train wreck. At least the United States, at least they have CNN. Who's the opposite? Fox. What's there in Canada? CTV, there's no opposite. CBC, Global, Breakfast Television. We all know what Canadian news is. They're Democrat. They all lean left. Why don't you just come out and say that you do? Oh, I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to show you something so ridiculous. This is a true story. Night of the election, November 5th, I go to the beer and wine store. I take the motorhome to Husky. I top off the propane because I'm ready for a big night. And I buy a case of kokanee, bottles, because I'm planning on celebrating. I haven't bought bottles in a couple of years. But when you know you're going to celebrate, you want to suck from a bottle. I open up my passenger door, and I got my phone out as I'm going out to the passenger's door. And I bring up YouTube because I'm addicted to YouTube right now. I want to see what's going on in the world.
Same.
And I look. CTV thumbnail pops up. And I couldn't believe my eyes what the thumbnail was. Good job.
First of all, why does Kamala look like a 3D render, like flat? Like, what is that? That looks terrible.
And I couldn't.
She looks like a mannequin.
Believe my eyes what the thumbnail was. Good job, CTV. You got me to click on it. Harris is going to win 47%. And I'm like, what? Because I knew in my mind, and I'm telling you the truth, I knew it was going to be a landslide because it had to have been a landslide. It has.
This is the second Canadian YouTuber that I'm watching that is like, I knew it was going to be Trump. He's saying
to be a landslide
for Trump.
I knew it wasn't even going to be close.
Yeah, me too.
I'll show you. I messaged my friend. People were concerned they're not even going to call the election tonight. It's going to be so close. Not me. I think it's going to be such a big win, they will call it tonight. So I click on the thumbnail. Ed. Because I forgot something at the store. I'm playing it. I got to listen to this. I'm driving and playing this, listening to it. And I can't believe my ears. We got some political analysts, guys. You know these guys? They're the professionals. They're the experts. Right? Let's listen to what they say.
Evan, because you're in the U.S., I'm going to start with you.
Evan, I'm going to start with you because you're in America. You must know what you're talking about, right?
Is it your sense after being here in the States for all these months that it is this close?
Oh, it's a toss-up. There's 7 swing states, and each state
Flip a
is
coin.
really, really tight.
So
and it's
tight.
going to come down to 3 things. One, the get out the vote, and that really does favor Kamala Harris. She's got more money, and her get out the vote strategy and team is better
Genius.
than Donald Trump's.
Oh, genius.
But if Kamala Harris wins, it'll be because suburban women came out and her get out the vote was better. But you're right. It's going to come down to the get out the vote machine and then little pockets of populations, Vashi. You know, Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania. How are they going to vote? Arab Americans in Michigan. Pockets of populations in swing states are going to be remarkably consequential in a coin toss election.
Coin toss election.
The polling in the U.S., Dan, is, as we were just discussing, so close. In Canada,
we got Dan
poll
coming up.
Canadians on what outcome they would like to see. It's not close, right? The overwhelming majority are in favor of Vice President Kamala Harris winning the vote tomorrow.
You have to hear that again.
They would like to see it's not close, right? The overwhelming majority are in favor of Vice President Kamala Harris winning the vote tomorrow. Why do?
What are you talking about, Bassy? I know you're my TV crush. So delusional to even think that. Who? Because I've been talking to everybody. Everybody's for Trump in Canada.
See?
Who isn't?
See?
Why do you think it is as close as it is in the U.S.?
So close.
Well, I mean, it's not a new phenomenon for presidential elections to be in a very narrow margin, right? I mean, they have for some time come down to a very small number of communities in a very small number of states. And whether or not those voters choose to show up on election day, Evan's absolutely right. I mean,
Evan,
this
you're absolutely
really will
right.
come down to whether or not a few thousand people across a few states in northeastern United States
maybe
actually
500
show up and vote. Most of those people are women, and a lot of them decided not to show up in 2016 to vote in favor of Hillary Clinton. Kamala Harris's campaign seems pretty confident. A lot of them are going to show up tomorrow, and frankly, I think
which they didn't. More women voters voted for Biden in the past election. She lost 4% of women. Why?
Damn.
Abortion.
It feels like a toss-up, and so a lot of people are going to make the choice to get out and vote, and I think
Thanks,
that's
expert.
actually going to be very helpful to Kamala Harris's campaign.
Good job.
Shake's point is completely bang on, that it has come down
Bang
to
on.
A handful of key
Bang on.
swing states and the voters in those states now
I can't
on a
believe they
number of
kept this up.
occasions. But on this occasion, the one side
okay.
is framing the other as a complete threat, existential threat to the end of democracy in the United States. And yet still, they are as close as they are, at least in national polling. Why do you think that is?
I think if you're
This guy.
supporting Donald Trump, all these
This guy has the only sense on this panel.
kind of these fear-mongering tactics, I think it's already baked into the calculation when you're voting for him, right? And I think what you're seeing, I know Evan and Dan just touched on the getting out the vote, but if you look at some of these polling numbers, men are breaking pretty heavily for Donald Trump and women are breaking pretty heavily for Kamala Harris. And I think the issue here is if men stay home, obviously Trump loses, but I think for Harris, she needs to have a significant win with women, because I think if you look at some of these breakdowns,
he's right.
The groups that traditionally support Democrats in elections are not solely behind Harris. Like you look at black men, for example, black men have not really caught fire with the Harris campaign, and I think Obama's scolding of men to vote for her hasn't helped that cause. Latino voters, right? Latino voters, despite Trump's rhetoric around immigration, I think the Latinos that are in America legally actually resonate with Trump's position. Some of these working class voters as well. They're just really upset over the issue around inflation. They're upset around how their paycheck has been eroded. And so I think for Kamala Harris to come out victorious, despite how close the polls show her and Trump, she needs to really offset these groups that are not going to be there for her on E-Day, that have traditionally been Democratic kind of strongholds or strong demographics.
He's exactly right. And what did they do? What's Harris running on? Abortion. That's what she ran on. That'll make the world better. Less babies. Why am I
Kathleen,
yelling?
you've been on the ground on a number of elections. I keep wondering, is there something that the
Same
polls
reason I
can't
yell.
capture? Like, I understand that you're asking people, how would you vote if that election were held right now? But is there stuff that can transpire on the ground to motivate people to vote one way or the other that is difficult to capture sort of on a database scientific way as the pollsters do?
To your question about what else could make a difference, GOTV. That's what politicos like myself focus on in the last few days of an election campaign. That is get out the vote. And right now it's actually the Kamala Harris campaign that has a massive machine funded by the money that she's been able to raise.
They're in debt.
And supporters that are out there knocking on doors and pulling that vote.
Pound in the
Basically,
ground.
The Republicans have subcontracted their entire get out the vote campaign, then door knocking, to Elon Musk.
What?
Who's out there literally paying canvassers to go, push them into U-Hauls and drive them around. And when you're paid to do that work,
What an
you're
idiot.
inclined to maybe not always be that truthful how many doors you actually knocked and how many supporters you actually recruited or convinced to
They
get out and
relied
vote
on the richest
E-Day.
man in the world?
You actually want canvassers who are
Brilliant
doing
genius.
that door knocking to buy into the spirit of it, not just waiting for an Elon Musk paycheck or some kind of lottery win. So I actually think that's where the weakness of the Republican campaign actually has been on
Hey,
that really
I see
machinery of the
BM
vote
Party.
that
How's
is
it
so
going?
important and that politicos, like many of us on this
What a
panel,
great
focus
point.
on when
Trump
it
is
comes down
doomed.
to elections.
I think, Laura, also the elephant in the room is not even really what happens tomorrow, but what happens after that, and the groundwork that the Trump campaign and the candidate himself have already done to lay out a case to reject the results if they don't go their way. How do you
blame them? I mean, really? This was so lopsided. Trump, it was such a big Trump win. You got to wonder what happened in 2020.
Yeah.
When they had
That's true.
mail-in ballots.
Mhm,
Remember that?
You do gotta wonder because
Anyways,
Bro, look at this chart. Who?
I'm gonna stop it there. This video's already too long. It's way too long.
It's not that long.
Bye bye.
I've already done to lay out a case to reject the results if they don't go their way. How do you anticipate that plays out?
Tomorrow's results tomorrow. Both sides
What is
are
this,
very
like bloopers or
interesting.
something?
It's very anxiety-inducing, and I think
get a
people
grip.
on both sides are very nervous about how this plays out. We have seen former President Trump sowing distrust in results.
Yeah, right. More like the Democratic Party sowed distrust in the people.
Leading up to this,
What does that mean?
we know that
Sowing
the country is pretty much divided, and
No, it's not.
it's very polarized. Dan mentioned, right, so I think that the story is not going to be over tomorrow night. In fact, I think it's only just beginning. And
It's so funny how they all went to bed hoping that the results would be in their favor in the morning. Sorry, but it's funny. This was good. This was good.
How old is this girl? This girl is 45. So yes.
Good job.
I'm sitting in my trailer. It's pouring out. You could probably hear it.
He didn't say porno. He said it's pouring out, as in raining.
I'm on the internet, and this pops up. And I couldn't stop watching it. And I thought, I'm going to show it to you guys. I don't even think I'm going to say a word during it. I don't even know. But I want you to see it. It actually... Why am I so excited about Trump? Like, calm
All
down.
Canadians are
But you get to
excited about
see
Trump.
what he is really like. He's in a room with a group of people. And they're watching Kamala's speech. This is how Trump writes speeches. I don't want to give anything away. Let's just watch it. And subscribe. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's about 20.
It's almost like
35.
it's almost like it's like, is it a skit? Like, is it a skit or something?
From India to California with an unshakable dream to be the scientist.
How many people are watching?
Can we tell how many, Dan? How many people are watching?
This is a
She's
documentary.
talking about how great San Francisco was before she destroyed it. A lot of talk about childhood. We've got to get to the border, inflation, and crime.
He's not proposing a single policy, not one policy proposal.
Ours' biography won't lower your prices at the grocery store.
Or at the pub.
Out there putting veterans out on the street, so
33,000 homeless.
Speaking of veterans, donate to the fundraiser if you want
Things
to.
of which she complains. Things of which she
In many ways,
That's how he writes a speech. I had no idea.
is an unserious man.
Oh. You hear that, Phil? It's great, right? Ready? These prosecutions were all
I like her.
started by her and Biden against their political opponents. Me.
Of course she's attractive,
Get
right?
that out right away.
Have of caravans heading to the border, people showing up at the border with Biden-Harris t-shirts. Everything we have of people swarming the border.
She paid bail for rioters in the Minnesota Freedom Fund.
She paid and raised bail. She paid bail to get the violent rioters in Minnesota out of jail.
See how he puts it in his own words?
I love it. Put it in there. Put it right in with the stuff, right?
With that post, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
You could do it either that or separate.
say more lies, lying about the Project 2025.
Oh, lying against Project 25, which she knows, and so do all Democrats, that I have absolutely nothing to do with.
She says we all know what a second term will look like. We can say yes. No inflation, secure borders, the best economy in the history of the world, and peace.
She said chart a new way forward. Turning a new way.
Chart a new way forward.
I don't want to get copyrighted.
I think we have a graphic about black earnings being down 6%. If we haven't already hit that, let's hit that one.
She's talking about the middle class. But she's the one that broke the middle class and made it unsafe.
She wants to give free Social Security and Medicare to illegals, bankrupting the system. Kamala Harris and Joe Walz are extremists on abortion. They want abortion up to the moment of and even after birth.
What would you say to a woman in Mississippi who's having to carry a child to term that has died in the fetus or has a serious fetal abnormality? That's how it'll come at you in the debate. But it'll be someone in a red state enduring that.
We have the exceptions.
Right, that's the right answer.
Democrats are the extremists.
Democrats, Republicans, liberals and conservatives wanted Roe v. Wade terminated and brought back to the states. 4 stories that she is making up that I've never even heard of.
I heard her say contraception, and I heard her say birth control.
Do not limit access to birth control or IVF. That is a lie.
Well, we trust women.
I trust women also. And I will keep women safe.
Of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law.
She won't. Because
She won't, and she hasn't.
The invasion of our country at her open border are destroying the lives of women and the families of African Americans and Hispanics.
That bill that legalizes illegal immigration.
And is a total disaster, weak and ineffective. Close the border. She just called to give all illegals citizenship. Say goodbye to the USA.
Trump, on the other hand, threatened to abandon NATO.
NATO wasn't paying their bills. I saved NATO. She hates Israel. You got it, Dan?
Love it.
How many troops have you put out there?
How many have you done,
40. She's complaining.
Has she said anything on China?
Has she mentioned fracking?
Kamala Harris is a threat to democracy.
She will take us into World War III and nuclear war.
Woohoo! Not anymore.
A nuclear World War III.
See how he just changed it on the spot?
Sorry, I had to celebrate a little bit.
Look at the team he has.
Oh, wow. She didn't mention China. She didn't mention fracking. She didn't mention energy. She didn't mention Russia and Ukraine, right?
50 to 60 million people in poverty in the United States right now. Under their watch, they put these people in poverty. They're doing nothing about it, not even talking about it. But some of these people can't even eat.
There's 60 million people in poverty in the United States right now.
Under their watch.
And she doesn't even talk about that.
So after he and Martha start talking, call in after like a minute or two after Brett and Martha start going.
I want to use a hard line. Much better.
This is good.
Hard line is so much better.
Phone's on quiet. Make sure phone's on quiet.
Turn your phones off.
Wish I had a secretary like that.
Joining us now by phone, the 45th President of the United States, former President Donald Trump. Mr. President, thank you for joining us. You were truth socialing along this speech. What is your first reaction to it real time tonight?
Well, the biggest reaction is why didn't she do the things that she's complaining about? All of these things that she talked about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do everything. But she didn't do any of it. She could have done it 3.5 years ago. She could do it tonight by leaving the auditorium and going to Washington, D.C. and closing the border. She doesn't need a bill. I didn't have a bill. I closed the border. There was a lot of complaining. She's raising taxes. She's going to give a tax increase. She didn't talk about any of that. What they're going to do is pick up and move to another country, like the pharmaceutical industry. On the immigration, it's very simple. The bill was horrible. We're doing very well in the polls. We're leading in most of the polls. In the swing states, we're leading in almost every one of them. As far as RFK, I've had a great relationship with him over the years. Look, he was treated very unfairly by the Democrats. In the end, the Democrats did the same thing to Joe Biden. They threw Joe Biden out of the party.
And that's why we saw a different night tonight.
Mr. President, thank you so
very
much
sir.
for the time.
Okay, thank you very much.
With the world in chaos, what's really needed.
I liked that. I thought that was cool. Interesting.
Kamala Harris did not lose this election because she's a woman. She lost this election because there were American families sitting there telling her how they couldn't afford to put food in their fridge, and her solution was to bring out Meg Thee Stallion to twerk on stage alongside just about every single one of P. Diddy's friends to endorse her. She lost this election because there were Americans who lost everything in an absolutely horrific hurricane, and she sat there telling them that $750 should be enough for them if they even qualify, while simultaneously funding illegals staying in 5-star hotels in New York City, receiving 3 meals a day provided to them by taxpayer dollars. She lost this election because she sat there talking about how anti-racism she was, while simultaneously blaming straight white men for just about every single problem this country has. Isn't it funny that if you demonize a group of people long enough for merely existing, they might not want to vote for you? American politics has changed forever. You will no longer be able to sit there and bully Americans into voting for you. It won't work. Unfortunately, our politicians on both sides seem to forget that they are actually public servants. They answer to the public, not the other way around, and they need to get behind that. They need to understand that, and they need to change and reform their policies to fit what the public is saying, or they will get left in the dust, as Kamala learned the hard way yesterday.
I honestly could not have put it better myself, but I'm not gonna lie. When that clip started, I thought that she was going to spaz out and start shaving her head. I'm sorry. Maybe I just got PTSD from all of the Trump meltdowns I've seen over the past couple of days. But I honestly thought that's how this clip was going to end up. But
these AI things are so funny.
Luckily, there is still hope for some of the young women out here. But I wanted to talk about something. Have you noticed the reaction to this election? Like, everywhere online, I see leftists, Democrats, talking about how they're no longer going to Thanksgiving, or certain family members are no longer invited to their home. They're talking about getting divorces, breaking up with boyfriends, all types of stuff. They're basically talking about cutting everyone out of their life who voted for Trump. But on the other hand, I don't see this type of negative energy coming from Trump supporters or people who voted for Trump. I don't see anyone who voted for Trump saying, hey, I'm not going to my aunt's house this Thanksgiving because she voted for Kamala. I don't see anyone who voted for Trump saying that, hey, I'm not going to, Christmas dinner with my family because they support Kamala and Tim Walz. I don't see anyone that voted for Trump saying, I'm divorcing my wife because she's a Democrat. Like, you don't see any of that energy coming from people who voted for Trump. All of that energy is one-sided. It's all coming from the left. And they're supposed to be the party of tolerance and diversity. But they hate diversity of thought. And I think we're really starting to see, and it's something that I've known, it's something that you guys have known, but the world is starting to see, and even people on the left are waking up to who the true party of tolerance is. Because it seems like people who voted for Trump are way more tolerant of people who have different thoughts and opinions as opposed to the people on the left. Now, I don't think you should ever cut off family or friends because of politics, especially family. But hey, it's one thing if you got that family member that you don't really like, you see them once every blue moon and you don't want to talk to them anymore. I'm not saying that's okay, but that's one thing, right? It's a whole nother thing when you start cutting off people close to you. Like, there are literally liberal women online bashing not just their husbands, but they're bashing their kids. I've seen several videos of liberal women online literally tearing apart their own children for voting for Trump. And I mean, listen, I think it's taking it too far to cut people off just in general, but this,
these are mean.
It's next level disgusting. Let's go ahead and roll this clip, and then I'll be right back with you.
Why was that
So
funny?
here's a problem that I have dealing with my MAGA sons. They get very, very offended if I say that I think that they are...
I want trophies on.
And I run it. Ignorant to
I already
some
heard this lady.
things.
Basically, she's not gonna have Thanksgiving with her sons or something?
Evil.
Evil?
Ignorant is the kinder choice.
I mean, think about it, folks. Think about everything you've heard Kamala Harris say. Think about all of the meaningless word salads and her just cackling with laughter. That nonsense was enough. That nonsense was enough for this woman to disown her own sons. She's online making videos insinuating that her own kids are evil for voting for Donald Trump. Now, what type of mother are you? If anything, I would say this. Her kids came out all right. She talks about the values she instilled in her kids. I'm not so sure about this lady's values. I think her kids came out okay. Luckily, her kids did not come out like her. But I just can't imagine allowing politics at all. Even if the shoe was on the other foot, I couldn't imagine letting politics drive me to the point that I am uploading videos online attacking my own children. Like, that is just absolutely wild to me. I don't care if I had 50 kids right now and all of them voted for Kamala Harris. And I'm someone that actually has a platform. You wouldn't hear a single word from me about it bashing my kids. And I just don't see how especially a mother, you know what I mean? Like, think about your sweet
Trump
mother.
derangement syndrome was the true pandemic in 2020, it seems.
You going online, you're scrolling through TikTok, and wait, is this mom?
I mean, I feel like the derangement just happened more in recent years. Like, I don't know, because of the election.
Wild. That's gotta be
but
wild.
Maybe for you guys, it's been
and
like.
One thing I've noticed is a lot of immature
since
behavior
then, since 2020,
from older Democrats, older people on the left, and I've shown you videos. We got people in their 80s and in their 70s, and listen, I love older people. I was raised by older people. I've always been around older people. But I feel like at a certain age, it's like, come on. Like, sitting here ranting on TikTok, that's something I expect from someone, much younger. I don't expect a grown woman with grown kids to be on TikTok, looking for attention from other whacked out leftists by basically sacrificing her own kids to get a few likes, because that's what this is. She's sacrificing her own relationship with her children to worship at the altar of woke idiocy, like just complete left-wing, far out there nut job wacko-ness. You know what I mean? That's what she basically ditched her family for. And you know that she's got to be really far gone if she's on, these social media platforms, going so far as to call her kids ignorant and crazy and to bash them and calling them, basically insinuating that they're evil. I honestly think that she's evil, and the people that are on here, on YouTube, TikTok, you name it, acting like straight up demons, I think they're the evil ones. But for now, let me know your thoughts.
But they don't.
While you're down there,
I don't think they're evil. But I think they've been tricked by the evil ones.
Ring that notification bell, and if you find...
But it's like... But why tricked?
All right, look, I know this is in French, but just look at her face when she's asked a question. This is the weirdest thing you're going to see all week, and it's Monday. It is Monday, and this is the weirdest thing you're going to see all week.
Il y a le IRA qui est en place présentement, qui ne fait pas l'affaire de M. Trump, et on a
au Canada la clause miroir, c'est-à-dire qu'il y a certaines compagnies comme Stellantis et Volkswagen qui pourraient peut-être perdre ce financement ici au Canada. Qu'est-ce que vous leur dites en ce moment pour les rassurer que vous serez là et serez-vous là pour les compenser si vous devez éliminer ces subventions-là?
That's a long question,
well,
though.
things are getting pretty out of hand here in Canada. Today we're going to be focusing on one specific press conference, and there's more than enough content to fill pretty much the entire video. Chrystia Freeland is going through a midlife crisis. She's having medical concerns. In fact, I'm going to pose a question out there. If there's any doctors or medical professionals, I really want you to diagnose Chrystia Freeland, because there's something seriously wrong with her when she's talking to reporters in this press conference. And then we're going to start off with the polls, because there's an update and it's kind of weird. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does tremendously help.
The audio is terrible.
And without further ado, let's just get right into it. So again, the polls, you still got Pierre Poilievre sitting at 215 projected seats. This is the latest update as of yesterday, and then Justin Trudeau's gone up somehow. I don't know how. I don't know in what world.
So does she or does she not actually have a medical emergency?
Why would I use kayak to compare hundreds of travel sites at once? I like to do things myself.
I don't think she's actually having a medical emergency. I think he's just saying that. Oh my god. See this one real quick.
We've got passion, we've got determination. Like, if we set our sights on something, you better believe it's happening.
I do want to talk about the think pieces that have been out thus far, trying to explain why she lost. And I'll start with Washington Post, how Kamala Harris and Joe Biden lost to Donald Trump and left
Pretty
Democrats.
simple why.
They're in shambles. They are in shambles. I think it's a fair assessment. Okay, it starts with Biden. Biden sucked. He refused to meet with pollsters. He dug in. We had one of the Pod Save America guys out over the weekend saying
Price, how's it
Biden's
going?
internal polls showed
I'm doing
that he was
good,
going to
thank you. How are
lose
you?
like 49 states, something like, or 400 electoral votes, something incredible in this election, and still thought he could win somehow. So the general consensus is F Joe Biden. Thanks for coming to where most of us were before. The country's been saying that since the Brandon thing. Let's go.
The country's been saying that. Not the country.
Love this. They're blaming.
I just want to say, like, people started. The veil started to come off when Biden fell up the stairs. I think that's when the veil started to fall.
Kamala Harris's campaign manager. That makes sense. Of course, you'd always blame the campaign manager to some extent. And yet no one has yet blamed Kamala Harris. Truly, like, in all these pieces, I have yet to see the person say, she was terrible. She couldn't connect. She couldn't give straight answers. They're much more comfortable, I've got to say, with the white female campaign manager and the white male campaign manager. None of them wants to lay a glove on Kamala. What did Jen O'Malley Dillon do wrong? Well, she insisted on having a larger role in the messaging process. She had come over from Team Biden. Aides just fired ideas into the void. You'd have someone say, what about too risky for too long?
Myra,
and O'Malley Dillon
so
and other
much.
senior advisors
How
rejected
those
pushes as well as others push for just a single word, dangerous. Now, this is obviously campaign aides who felt, to steal a term, unheard by Jen O'Malley Dillon. And now we're like, if only she had taken my great ideas, we would have won. This is all just like teaspoons in the ocean stuff. They're totally not getting it.
It's funny how they
and
think,
the piece goes on
like,
to
do
say,
they really think that the campaigning part is all they need in order to win? Like, how about doing the right thing for your country in the 4 years that you're going to be there? How about, doing that as a means to garner votes? Hello? Like, you think you can treat the people like crap and then give them crappy concerts and they're gonna vote for you? Like, give me a break.
Finally, the group settled on what they privately called the 3 U's, or the triple U's. Unhinged,
Z Myriad, thank you so much for the follow.
Now,
I appreciate
they're
it.
right. That's a terrible idea. And they went on to
You're
point
good as
out
well. Good
that
to hear.
one campaign
Stopping
responded
by
by
real
saying,
quick, dropping a
no
follow.
one
Thank you
even
so
in
much.
the
And alert, I
campaign was
appreciate
able
it.
to even remember the 3 U's.
Thank you so
I
much.
just
Have a
said
great
them, and even I
night.
don't remember. Unhinged, that was one of them. Like, it's not catchy. I'll give you one more, and then I'll get your reaction. One person says, okay, this one's correct, because they went to somebody who works for Joe Manchin. It's very simple. If you try to win elections by talking to the elites of this country, you're going to get your ass kicked. There are not enough Beyoncés, Oprahs, or Hollywood elites to elect anyone. And then they go on to talk about how linked their party is to the elites. So of those first two, I think, some Biden blame. Yes, he stuck around for a long time, but I don't think Biden was the answer to their problems. And I do not think messaging was it. And I do think connection to elites is relevant, but they have yet to get to the real core. Ladies, you tell me what you think the real core is. Eliana, I'll start with you.
The core of the problem, I think, is what the Democratic Party has come to stand for. And I think the framing of that piece is sort of misleading. It frames
What's the
it
Canadian
as
equivalent to the U.S. Constitutional Bill of Rights?
Harris? And the
I
truth is
don't
that it
know.
was both. Because they came to stand for the same thing. Biden
I'm gonna have to Google it,
Biden had
slash
a very problematic record, and
search it.
Harris then refused to distance herself from that record.
it up.
So it was both of them. It's not that complicated. But the Democratic
Canadian
Party
Charter of
spent
Rights and Freedoms.
the last 4 years telling voters that the issues that were most important to them, which were the economy and immigration, that inflation as it relates to the economy.
I'm over it.
First, that
Actually,
it was
no, hold on.
transitory,
So,
and then
what are
that
they
they
saying?
weren't reading data right, and that actually, things were getting better. And on immigration, telling them that it wasn't a problem, and you just can't win elections that way.
And there were other things. They failed East Palestine, they failed Lahaina, they failed North Carolina, all that kind of
Can't
stuff.
win elections that way. by
There's so much, and there's even more than that. Like, anyway, I'm over this. I want to see what's going on with this.
What are
these people.
Activia's 3 benefits? 1 billion active probiotics. That's the way. 2, helping for a healthy gut.
Ugh. I hate cheesy commercials, cheesy ads. So yes, the Canadian, what is it? Charter. Hello? Hold on, let's read it real quick. How do I zoom? You were wondering because you are curious what the Canadian people value highly. Like in the US, we value freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, and the right to privacy. It's all in the Constitution. I feel like Canadians know the US Constitution better than, like, I've never seen this thing. I've never seen this thing in my life, you know? And it's like, I should know, but I know that we should at least have freedom of speech. I know we don't have the right to bear arms or anything like that, but okay, this is in French. That's fine. I just want to like zoom in. Well, let me put this in the chat and you can kind of, if you're curious, I guess we were going to go over it. Let me just read a few of them. But I'm also going to put it in the chat. So, hello? Oh, okay, I'm just gonna like, whereas, wait, hello? Guarantee of rights and freedoms. Set on fundamental. Freedom of conscience. Wait, freedom of conscience and religion. Okay, so the first one is freedom of conscience, conscience and religion. Freedom of thought. I have lots of thoughts, but they want to censor me. Belief, opinion, and expression. So why the hell is YouTube like, you're harassing people? Like, bitch, it's my opinion that so-and-so might be a shill for so-and-so, okay? That's my opinion. It's not harassment. Is it? No, that's not harassment. It's an opinion. People are just sensitive. It's annoying. Hey, Wolf. How are you? Was just dropping in to say hi. Been busy today. No worries. Thank you so much for dropping by. I speak Portuguese, Zach. Including freedom of the press. Freedom of the press. I like that one. And other media of communication. But they're trying to censor us, yo. What the fuck? Freedom of speech assembly. Apparently not. Truckers. And freedom of association. Democratic rights, mobility rights, equality rights. We have legal rights. We have many rights. Official languages of Canada, minority language, educational rights, application of charter, general, and enforcement. So, we have the right, every citizen of Canada has the right to vote, yada, yada, yada. So, everything, basically the same as you guys except for the guns part, which, it's like a good thing because we don't have as much, like, we don't have to worry about school shootings. That's not a thing that we worry about in Canada. Like, extremely rare. Wait, what happened here? Did my thing freeze? Oh, for a second you thought I was talking to you when I said Zach. Oh, with the I speak Portuguese? The scariest part of this document is the first part of it. Hold on. What's this? What is it? What's the first part? What did I miss? All of my rights can be revoked if the government deems it. That's so fucked up. Whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law. We guarantee of rights of freedom. Where does it say that? Is it like, and what am I, is it something I'm not understanding? Like they have it written in a way that makes you not realize what it's saying, what it's actually saying?
There's no denying there's some crazy things going down in Hollywood. Welcome back to the Sloan Show. Today, I've got a bunch of topics for you guys, but I want to start off by talking about one of Diddy's closest friends, Ashton Kutcher. This headline reads, Ashton Kutcher and his wife, Mila Kunis, have been froze out of Hollywood. Honestly, about time. They say that Los Angeles is the city of dreams, but in Ashton and Mila's case, it's becoming the city of nightmares. Now we're told the couple are seriously considering a fresh break in hopes that they can finally put an end to the backlash that's been railed against them. Right now, Ashton and Mila are kind of giving me like Jennifer Lopez vibes, maybe like Blake Lively energy. Essentially, they've dug their own grave, they've created their own problems, and now they're like, oh, pity me, nobody likes me anymore.
The First Amendment says that the rights are only deemed valid if you are operating under what the government deems fair and democratic. Great. Just great.
This source claims the couple...
Marcus Daly, thank you so much for the raid. How are you? How was your stream? That's so vague that it essentially makes all the rights optional at the whim of the current government. How's it going? Let's get a Marcus shout out, guys. Go check out Marcus Daly. He also streams politics. So if you like politics, I recommend you give a follow. And for some reason, my shout out thing likes to not work when I give certain people a shout out. Was this the same thing that happened last time, or was that with someone else? Let's try that again. Oh, workout stream!
Man, I'm fucking...
Hopefully it's not a fail. Hopefully it's not a stream fail.
I mean completely fucking me. Now, like I said, the fucking Stairmaster will fucking destroy you.
Stairmaster is a great exercise. What did you say at the end there? Yeah, we are a rare breed of streamers on Twitch that politics is still allowed. I mean, it's a new category, right? So I feel like, if anything, this is where you can talk openly about taboo things. You gotten even fatter ever since that. Aw, don't say that. I've gotten fatter since I broke my leg.
Poor Ashton and Mila. And it all really started when they supported Danny Masterson. Remember that actor from the 70s show that was convicted of R-wording a woman? Well, Ashton and Mila didn't want to see him go to prison. In 2023, Danny Masterson was found guilty of 2 counts of R-word, which took place when Ashton and Mila were both working with him between the years 2001 and 2003. Despite his conviction, Ashton and Mila wrote a letter for leniency, trying to get him out of there. It just reminds me of like these groupies or these enablers in Hollywood that all kind of stick together. And Ashton and Mila know the power in their names. I mean, up until this point, people took them seriously. People liked them. So if they're going to go and try to write a letter of support for Danny, it's going to be maybe more impactful than, you know, Joe Smith down the street. I mean, I hate to admit it, but you know, these celebrities
wait, who has 2 counts?
That's why they get out of speeding tickets.
I wasn't paying
get
attention.
Out of jail. Well, they could try to get their friends out of prison.
This video is pretty long, 20 minutes.
The letters were published by a reporter, Megan, which shout out to you, Megan. Ashton refers to Danny as a role model and an extraordinarily honest person, saying he's among the few people I would trust to be alone with my son and daughter. So, okay, first off, are there a lot of people in your life that you don't trust to be around your son and daughter? Because then you need to reevaluate.
Too bad we already watched this.
You get cash
I wanted
back,
to
high
see his
interest,
reaction. I'll watch this
credit
later, I
building,
guess.
convenient ways to borrow, and so
Watch
much
it,
more.
in
Sign up for
bed.
your free trial of Coho today. It's time to trust
Let's
the
see what this is.
We might have some trouble coming our way.
If you want to build a future, you got to know what you want. I want to teach them some conflict resolution.
Nothing resolves a conflict.
That guy
like a
was
good smack in the
convicted of.
chest.
Yeah, you don't know the Danny Masterson. You didn't know? It was a huge, big deal.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal
This
High
guy.
channel solely focused on exposing the
Unfortunate.
abundant hypocrisy of the left. Alright, so I guess it's time to get to business, huh? I think we've done all the celebrating we can. We've gloated a little bit, of course, which I believe is our right.
But you still
Firstly,
have the
considering
time
how
and
much is at
office
stake,
to
and
do some of
secondly,
the things you
knowing
said
the
you
fact
wanted
that
to
had the
do.
left won, well, they'd
Angry
be
face.
certainly rubbing it in now, wouldn't they? But anyways, now it's time to move on and focus on the most important thing, the agenda. What is going to define this future era of conservatism? And I know according to the left and all their doom and gloom from the election, what's coming is an autocratic fascist takeover of the nation and the implementation of spooky Project 2025. But in reality, it's just Agenda 47. And at the top of the list of priorities is closing the border and beginning the largest mass deportation in American history. And knowing it's coming from Trump, I think it's less of a slogan and more of an actual promise. It seems as though it's happening, it's coming. Let me show you guys
With
exactly
Sly,
what I mean
it looks
by that.
awesome.
We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the
that
tape.
70s
All
show?
right, friends, so of course we've heard the statement, we've heard the
Or-
campaign promise.
As soon as I take the oath of office, I'll terminate
show?
every open border policy of the Biden administration and begin the largest deportation operation in American history.
And now, well, I guess we have a soft confirmation. Vivek Ramaswamy makes an appearance on ABC News, where he essentially states, it's happening, get ready.
Now, obviously, Trump's promised, and you've talked a lot about this, the mass deportation of undocumented immigrants. First of all, do you really think that we're
Stallone
gonna
is based
see
AF, a
him
real one?
round up and deport upwards of 11? And sometimes he's put the numbers high
Oh,
as
was it
20
an
million,
ad?
People out of the United States. Is that really going to happen?
Oh, it
Donald
was an
Trump's
ad?
campaign promise was the largest mass deportation in American history.
Okay.
And he's going to keep that promise. And I'll tell you, let's just start very pragmatically here. I think most Americans agree with this. You take the number of people who have entered the country just in the last 18 to 24 months. That's millions of undocumented immigrants, illegal migrants, who have really no place in this country. Anybody who's committed a crime. Automatically, that already is the largest mass deportation in American history. Now take that to the next level. Not an iota, not a cent of government spending should go to subsidize this, not to sanctuary cities, not to federal aid to people who are in this country illegally. And we're going to see a large number, by the millions, of self-deportations as well. And so these are pragmatic places to start.
To Canada.
Yes, the largest mass deportation in American history.
But far short of 11 million more.
We're going to go step by step aggressively. Donald Trump's going to stay true to his campaign.
Oh, got
pledge,
you, got
but in
you.
a way that respects the dignity of the Americans who are already here.
Okay,
And I do think it's offensive to use, when we have $34 trillion of national debt, government funds to subsidize this type of illegal migration. That's half the problem. And if any illegal migrant is no longer a customer of the welfare state, you're going to see self-deportations combined with deportations of those who enter.
Let me ask you, though.
And so there it is, that's the soft confirmation. And as expected, the left is throwing a hissy fit. I don't know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez must be crying near a fence or something. Yada yada Hitler, yada yada fascism, but I don't get what the fuss is about. How can you describe
sure
this
she
as
can, like,
fascism
just
when it seems to be a
fly
policy
to go
implementation
see
directed
her
by the
family?
electoral
Like, I don't have
will
all my
of the
family
people?
in
The American
here in
people have
Canada.
spoken, and they chose Donald J. Trump to put America back on track. And this was one of the biggest promises that he made during his campaign, dealing with the crisis at the border and the millions of illegal migrants who have poured into the country over the years. And guess what? It's time to make good on that promise. And that starts with mass deportations. It may sound mean, and certainly people are going to be
With the
affected
exception
by
of
it,
Mila
but it's
Kunis
simply the
since,
enforcement
she
of
was
the
in
law.
Ted
What is a
and Ted
nation
too,
without
huh?
laws? What is a nation without
It was
a
like
border?
all
I mean,
over.
what's the argument here, Democrats?
I don't know if it was
Borders
all
are
over the news, but it was all
fascist?
over
Is the
YouTube.
Democrat
So,
Party
and I've
simply
been like on
accepting
YouTube.
the weirdo far left academic
Paying
stance on this
attention
issue?
to
I'll tell you, it seems like that's the case. And
whatever's
it also
happening.
Seems like that stance specifically is backfiring big time. They've done their typical
But it was, like,
gaslighting here in an obvious
pretty
attempt to shame
severe
people into
case.
supporting their ridiculous illegal immigration
Like, he
to
drugged
voter
people
pipeline
and did
strategy.
that.
But unfortunately for them, people are starting to wake up and wisen up and see what's really going on. The finger pointing,
Also,
the crying in front of fences, all this talk about Trump bringing
Ashton Kutcher and Diddy were like super tight too. So like, it's just all coming to light.
back concentration camps no longer works, and now a majority of the nation backs Donald Trump's plan for mass deportations. It's happening, and the Democrats have an option here. Come back to the world of common sense, you know, back where their party stood on the issue maybe 15, 20 years ago.
So I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone.
It makes sense that no great nation can be in a position where they can't control their borders. I've been arguing for the need to put more protection at our borders. So I think what you have to do is you have to have a significant increase in the security at the border.
Tend to be different from the Hollywood drama stuff.
Limited elements where you actually
I guess,
have
but
a
it was
fence.
like.
So I think the combination of virtual fencing, some fencing, additional.
I think it was not so much the Hollywood drama, because it's not drama, it's a crime. So, like, people interested in court, like, cases and crime and stuff like that. And, I don't know. I guess the thing is, like, all this Holly weird crap is interconnected with the government. So, like, if you're interested in politics, you should also be interested in what's happening in Hollywood, because it's dark and it's messed up, and it's time that all this stuff comes to light and it gets abolished. Science, history, military, technology, and crafting videos. So crafting videos, really. I like science, history, space. I love space videos, but lately I'm just like politics. Very much just like politics, news, some like, you know, YouTube drama. I love YouTube drama. YouTube drama is great. And then, of course, you know, Hollywood stuff and stuff like that.
Additional border patrol is important.
I think we should have strong border security. It doesn't make sense for us to allow hundreds of thousands of people coming through our borders without us knowing who they are. Oftentimes in very hazardous situations and unmonitored situations that could do us long-term damage. I think we should have a serious employer.
Come back to your senses, or just continue doing what you're doing until it runs your political party into the ground. Oh, what's that? Democrats have learned nothing?
If the Trump administration requests it, would the Massachusetts State Police assist in mass deportations?
No, absolutely not. You know, every tool in the toolbox has got to be used to protect our citizens, to protect our residents, and protect our states.
Oh, blacksmithing? Oh, that's cool.
On democracy and the rule of law as a basic principle, right?
They're keeping up the sanctuary city nonsense. That's the governor of Massachusetts promising that her state won't assist with deportations.
Or sword
no
videos.
biggie, just violating her oath to the Constitution just to get a couple seconds of fame. Look at me standing up to Trump. Here comes the resistance again. But someone ought to inform the Democrats in Massachusetts that their state shifted rightward almost more than every other state in the union. It's clear the Democrats lost the moral argument, and that the electoral will of the people was to enforce border laws, to get the job done, and it seems as though the Trump administration fully intends on doing so. And now the conversation becomes a little bit more pragmatic. Is it going to happen? Is it possible? Well, considering Republicans just sweep the House and the Senate, I'd say there's a decent chance that it is possible, and I've heard some arguments from the left claiming it's impossible, it'll cost way too much money.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
It's going to cost billions upon billions of dollars every single year if you want to deport 1 million illegals. And this counter-argument, let me tell you, it's blatantly idiotic. $88 billion, is that the number she cited? Yeah, well, you know, the cost of the border crisis alone is already at $150 billion and counting. And that might be with a very conservative lens or outlook. That's not counting the economic effects of Americans losing out on jobs, or all the under-the-table money that isn't being taxed or recycled domestically but rather being sent abroad. It's not counting the crime crisis, or what local states and counties are dealing with. And so Democrats are stating it's going to cost $88 billion to deport 1 million illegal migrants. I don't know, seems almost fiscally responsible, doesn't it? Of course, that's exactly what it is. And the implication that it's going to cost this every single year is ridiculous.
It's a 3D mini for the next D&D game you're getting into, yeah.
The problem is likely to dwindle to a fraction of where it is today. In other words, it's not going to cost as much money to deal with it because you'll have a ding 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 secure border and secure nation. You know, just like every other modern nation across the globe. You know, the Democrats try to play this emotional game, but their policies on this issue especially have caused untold suffering. It can only be described as human catastrophe. And now they're trying to make an argument about fiscal responsibility. Give me a break. You guys are the ones creating a crisis that's running the country into debt. I mean, multiple combat compounding crises. It's time to find a solution.
Chris.
Not fund endless bureaucracy. See, again,
Chris
this is what the Democrats
Vergara,
do.
thank
They
you so
cause
much
a
for the
crisis
follow.
and
I
then
really
try to create
appreciate
a
it.
bloated bureaucratic department to continue dealing with that crisis or enabling the crisis. Look what they do with substance abuse. They let it run rampant on the streets, and they create big government entities where they're spending all kinds of money on a bunch of paper-pushing bureaucrats who have no actual incentive to solve the problem. Well, it's the same thing with the border, and you just can't give in to the emotional manipulation, the gaslighting, the finger-pointing, and accusations of fascism or cruelty. They are the cruel ones. They're cruel to the migrants with these false hopes of refugee claims and amnesty. Not to mention they send those migrants directly into the belly of the beast, that being the cartel beast. And of course, the crisis they create is then cruel to the American people and American taxpayers. The Democrats have lost the argument, and it seems like border security may finally be on the way. I think that's at least what it's looking like. I'd say probably the last thing that I need to be fully convinced on this matter is seeing this guy nominated as director of ICE. Then you know it's for real, for real. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
So we have some remarkable footage that...
Oh, my leg hurts. I can't find my mouse. I can't see my cursor. Why does that happen? I'm trying to skip, but I don't see my cursor. Hello? Ah! Why does this happen?
Former President Donald
Whatever.
Trump has won the 2024 presidential election.
As of now, Fox News projecting Trump currently has 277 electoral college votes.
So, Trump won the election, and that's going to come as a big surprise to most of New York, which voted 55% in favor of Vice President Harris. But even though Trump won, many progressive policies heavily supported in New York City itself, like liberal immigration laws, go against the platform he got elected on and may govern from. Which means that some really strange things are going to start happening here, especially concerning the asylum crisis.
Look what happened. Is this crazy?
President-elect Trump celebrating victory in the...
Mr. President, what are your thoughts on getting elected to president? Again, that's crazy.
Presidential race.
This is about 20 minutes ago. The AP declared Trump the winner over Vice President Kamala Harris.
Too loud?
The greatest comeback in American political history. I mean, we've never seen anything like this.
With the arrival of more than 200,000 migrants to the Big Apple,
So you're making
New York City
that?
has spent more than $5 billion on the migrant crisis.
New York and New Jersey, blue states, how might these election results be felt in our area?
That's the story of the whole election, is that Donald Trump did better in Democratic areas than he did last time around.
A new warning about a dangerous Venezuelan...
I think that makes sense. There's a lot of people that have the perception that a lot of these policies, especially with like illegal immigrants and stuff, there's a lot of people who view those, they view them negatively. And they also think that this is a result of Democrat policies. And so they're going to be the ones that are the most affected by them.
Prison gang making deeper inroads in the U.S. The Department of Homeland Security says members of the notorious Tren de Aragua gang are increasingly drawn to sanctuary cities.
I mentioned how President-elect Trump outperformed his 2020 numbers, even in blue areas. Let's put a finer point on that. In 2020, he lost New Jersey by about 16 points. This year, he lost New Jersey by about 5 points.
So I would expect that Democrats are going to continue to try and...
It's like if you go around and like you're driving around and there's basically, you got... Look, I mean, you got...
I was driving around today and there were tents
around here building rust
in the
spaces
parks,
everywhere.
tents everywhere.
You got people cracked out trying to get one of those like little robots to like trying to hump a robot like that. It's weird, bro. You got the zombies
Not seeing that,
out
thankfully.
on the fucking street. No, you don't. Fent zombies. Yeah, yeah, bro. People, that's gonna scare people.
run to the right, they're going to try and run to the middle, and they're going to try and be the moderate or centrist party. But they got some more cut out for them, because I think many people tie the Democrats to the far left.
Yeah, sure.
So Donald Trump has defied the odds and become president of this country once again. But what nobody's talking
That was not defying the odds. That was so obviously gonna happen.
about is that this totally changes New York City's relationship
But I think
with
from within the US, maybe it wasn't as obvious. I don't know.
our federal government, and it's going to have a massive impact on immigration, but not in the way most people think. Because in many ways, New York City is and remains the focal point of the asylum crisis here in America. And when this crisis first began, Mayor Adams was initially receptive to the idea of thousands of folks coming here to seek a better life. But after thousands came, thousands more decided to do the exact same thing. And as of right now, we've got over 212,000 people.
Are these migrants, or are these just people that live in New York? Like, I don't even know.
Come to New York, fleeing poverty, seeking the American dream. And because of New York City's generous right to shelter rules, everyone's been offered a free place to stay, which is great because it's kept families from having to live out on the street. But it hasn't exactly been sustainable, which is why many of those same families are now
It's going to make people mad, because there are people that can't afford to live in a house, and then these people are getting a house paid for. And if you're a citizen and they're giving a house, or
Trump
they're
defied the
giving
numbers of
basically,
dead voters.
like giving housing, some form of housing. Like, I know it's not
How
maybe
is that
a house
even
in every case, probably
possible?
not in
Like,
New York,
who's
but they're providing housing to
handing
people
in these votes
that
for
aren't
dead
even
people?
citizens. That's going to make you mad.
Like, who?
I mean, I'm shocked that this is even. How is this a mystery to anyone? It's like, I mean, I feel like if you can't figure out why this is going to cause problems, you're dumb. Like, I don't know what else to say. There's homeless vets who fought in our country, and these guys get free housing. That's horrendous. Exactly, right?
Speaking of veterans, I'm doing a fundraiser. If you want to donate to the Veterans Association Food Bank, I'm gonna be doing the fundraisers probably for the rest of the month. But yeah, if anybody wants to.
I think that's the way that a lot of people see it, for sure.
Being evicted from New York's shelter system. And since that shelter system isn't helping people get jobs, many of these folks are just as homeless now as they were before they moved in, and they certainly haven't achieved the American dream, which was the whole.
We have this in Austin, by the way. Like, my personal opinion is I don't really mind the rough spaces. I kind of find them interesting to see the kind of stuff that they put together. Like, there's one guy, and like he sits. I don't know how this happened, but he got a lazy boy, and he took it to like an intersection, and he just has the lazy boy. You know how like sometimes there's like two roads, and there'll be like a green like area of grass in the middle, like a what's it called, like a mid lane or whatever the fuck it is. Well, he has a lazy boy in the middle of that, right? A median. Yeah, there you go. It's a median. He has a lazy boy right on top of it, and all around him are beer bottles. Right? And people just give this guy money every fucking day. Every fucking day. He just sits out there on the lazy boy drinking, and people are just giving him money, just one after another. I've seen people give him tons of. I was in a McDonald's drive-thru. I probably watched him make $100 while I was sitting there. It was crazy. So, I mean, to me, I find it to be, and I know it's not like really a good thing, but I do find it to be kind of amusing to see the kind of stuff that they do. Just like streamers who beg. Yeah, he's probably making more money than streamers are.
Point of this process.
More than likely.
Donald Trump presidential.
My mom used to work at a bank, and this lady who, like, basically begged for a living, she would deposit like $300 a day.
This is still a sanctuary city, and
as
such, it's going to continue to be a destination, not just for people wishing to emigrate to America, but also for people who want to come here because they can hide
how are
from federal
you?
immigration authorities. And as you're about to see, New York City could soon become one of the last places in America where folks at odds with our nation's laws will be able to stay. And with pockets
that's not really going to happen. Like, I mean, realistically, I mean, the federal government is always going to overrule. Like, I mean, they have jurisdiction over this
Democrats,
stuff, so
they
it's not
register anyone to vote,
they
whether
can tell the
they're
federal
dead or
government no.
in a seat. So registering to
yeah,
vote
this
is
is
what
not gonna
the
happen.
same as voting?
Gang activity spreading across our country already, not
Censor
just
with
in New York,
dementia,
but
I
in other
mean,
places
they
like
put
Colorado
forward
and Texas.
Biden
There
as their
exists the
candidate, gotta
possibility
get
that
the
New York
votes
City,
of
with
the
its sanctuary doors wide open, will
non-sentient.
still see continued migration, not from well-meaning
I
individuals.
feel like in Canada, when you vote, like, you go in person, number one, and yeah, they obviously have to check your ID, and then you go and you vote. So, like, you can't really, like, go again and then use someone dead ID, because that's not you. Like, it's so, how is this a thing? How is this a thing? Someone explain
from those who
it
have a
to me.
criminal past and the desire for a crime-filled future,
You
which
guys
is bad news
floated
not
the
just
idea
for
of
New Yorkers,
lowering
but
the
also for
voting
the
age.
65,000
Oh, God.
asylum seekers still living here.
They were so desperate. See, okay, by the way, all this, you like trying to lower the age to 16, trying to make it so that like you don't need an ID to vote, all these little things that sound so freaking ridiculous, like you could tell how desperate they were. And to think that they still somehow thought they were gonna win is so ridiculous to me. Like, look at how desperate they were. They were so desperate. They knew that they were not even close. They knew how badly it was going to go. That's why they got all the Diddy people out there. They were so desperate.
So here we are,
Losers!
Trump Tower. That's the front entrance. It's about 12 o'clock the day after
You can
the
tell
election.
because
And
it's
it's not too
gold.
crazy. No
Nobody take it
protesters,
personally.
nothing wild, no megaphones, no crowds. But some people here might start doing that once the new president takes over and starts doing
They did.
Anything to get more uninformed and
They
brainwashed
did.
voting.
They did it the first time. They did after he got elected, like a day or two after.
What did they do?
There's nothing.
5,000. Damn.
So here we are, Trump Tower. That's the front entrance. It's about 12 o'clock the day after
You
the
can tell
election.
because
And
it's
it's not too
gold.
crazy. No protesters, nothing wild, no megaphones, no crowds. But some people here might start doing that once the new president takes over and starts doing.
They did. They did. They did. They did it the first time.
Oh,
They
he's
did
talking
it
about
after he
January
got elected,
6th?
Uh,
like a day or two after.
Well, what are they talking about?
And then they're gonna do it again.
Wait, what are they talking about? What is he talking about?
Things that they disagree with.
New York and New Jersey, blue states, how might these election results be felt in our area?
In New York, there's actually a number of congressional seats that seem to have gone from Republican to Democrat. And right now, that's the last chance that the Democrats have to hold on to any of the House. They lost the Senate, they lost the presidency. So that could be a big deal nationally.
So, according to the official results, as a state, New York voted 55% in favor of Vice President Harris. New York is not a state that voted for President Trump.
I thought
For
it was more.
reference, in 2016, Hillary Clinton won New York State with 59% of the vote. And
That's surprising, to be honest. Like, I thought New Yorkers would be more well-informed, or like less in a bubble, or like I thought they'd be like more educated, like, or like free thinkers or critical thinkers. Like, I'm
It is
surprised.
kind of crazy that the one state that he's from has the least amount of people that vote for him.
Aw, that's not nice.
I mean, you gotta ask yourself, why is that?
They're just jealous.
Biden outperformed
'Cause they
Hillary,
know
winning
him.
over
They're just
60% of the
jealous.
vote in New York.
Yeah.
Which means that even though Donald
And
Trump
so
may
are
have
you,
won a
Asmin.
stunning victory, and even though
You're
this
just
may be one of
jealous.
the greatest political comebacks of all time, he
It is.
didn't win
Yeah.
New York at all. He lost. He lost by just about as much as he always loses. And what
Yeah.
that means is many of the people here do.
I would say going from 59 like loss of 59.5 to 55, that's a huge increase. That's like half. Like you effectively cut you cut your losses in half this time. It's massive, yeah.
not want Trump laws. They
Tried
do
to
not want Trump
bribe
policies.
black
They
men
do
with a
not
promise
want
of
to
1
see him
million
govern
loans of
on the
$50,000
platform
each
that he
with
ran
debt
upon.
forgiveness.
That's what
They're never
Trump
gonna
as a
pay
sanctuary
that.
city,
They're
New
never
York
gonna.
itself
No
not the way it
payback
works.
required.
It's like
Just
when
put it
Obama
on
was
the
president.
taxpayers to cover the cost. Hold on.
Like,
Try to.
Texas has to do what Obama says because he's the fucking president.
Oh, debt
Biden's
forgiveness.
president. They have
Sorry,
to do
I
what the
was
fuck Biden
misunderstanding.
because he's the president. Like, it's just, what are we talking about? It's just such a stupid way to look at things. Like, it's the United States of America. We had a whole war over this.
They were so desperate.
Already exists in opposition somewhat to federal laws it doesn't like, and it's been doing that for all 4 years of the past presidential administration, which many say is the reason the asylum crisis here looks the way it does. Remember, this all started here back in 2022, and it really started growing in 2023, and we've still got around 65,000 individuals living in our shelter system, which is supposed to be helping them become sufficient, but is failing in that mission because it's not part of a greater purpose of actually connecting these people with jobs and the future many of them were promised when they moved in. Instead, all our shelter system has really provided people with is the opportunity to fill out asylum paperwork and not much else. However, our right to shelter rules, they're not going away anytime soon. Those were not on our recent ballots. That was not something that's been voted on, and even if a new president does come in and close our borders completely, there are still thousands of people in this country right now with legal permission to be here waiting for their asylum cases to play out. And unfortunately, there are also quite a few people in this country that have ties to dangerous criminal organizations. We're talking at least 600 known associates of a dangerous Venezuelan gang. Tren de Aragua is the name of it, which started in a prison in that country a few years ago. And that gang is now here. There have been reports of gang members living in some of the city's own funded shelters that are supposed to help.
Why don't they just, if they have gang members, why don't they just ask the federal government for, like, I don't know, the National Guard or like some sort of assistance to like get rid of them?
Because that goes against what they want. They want the cities to be, you know.
Why they even let it happen?
Because they want the end of the world. They wanted to fake the end of the world basically to control us is what the, you know, that globalist narrative. It's that globalist thing. I feel like people in the States aren't as informed on like the WEF and like the globalist agenda, and I feel like this is very much to do with that, because like they keep doing shit that makes no sense, and it's obviously on purpose.
I don't get it. Yeah, optics.
Is that what he was talking about?
It's just weird, bro. Like, it's so weird. I mean, the thing is, like, look at El Salvador. Bro, that guy turned shit around. You know, he has over an 80% approval rating? I think it's like 86%.
Is he talking about, who's he talking about? Is he talking about this guy? I don't know.
Asylum seekers, creating a situation here that's not only very bad for the people the asylum crisis is named after, because they can't actually get the help they need or achieve anything if gang members with weapons control where they live and exploit them, but this is also a potential problem for New York because of how popular Donald Trump now is on a national level. He didn't just win an electoral victory, he also won the popular vote. It's very likely that he could govern on what he ran on, and some in New York may see this as an opportunity to oppose that by doubling down on sanctuary type policies that don't actually help people who really need it.
While we're speaking of New York and New Jersey, are you
Surprise,
surprised to see the actual total numbers? Usually these are obviously tried and true blue states.
That's the story of the whole election, is that Donald Trump did better in Democratic areas than he did last time around, and it wasn't an enormous.
I think one form of messaging that's really worked very well is that it's the messaging that the problems that you have economically and with like you know, illegal immigration or with migrants or whatever are a result of Democrat policies and Democrats. So you're going to have a lot of people that are feeling like the squeeze of like inflation or whatever. I think that the message has been conveyed effectively that it's the fault of the Democrats. Whether you agree whether it is or not, I think that is the prevailing consensus that many people have. And I think that's why a lot of people voted the other way. Do you think part of the reasoning for these immigrants from Democrat cities was to groom them as Democrat voters? I think that's a big component, yeah. I think that if all of the people coming in, the illegal immigrants coming in, were, let's say, maybe from Russia that were extremely conservative, I bet Democrats would have a much bigger problem with it. Absolutely. Yeah. So
the thing is, it's so interesting because the immigrants that are coming, well, maybe not in the States. I don't know about in the States, but the immigrants that are coming into Canada, like, I feel like majority of them would have conservative values because, let's say, for example, we have a lot of Indian families coming, right? As far as I know, in general, like, Indian families are a bit more on the conservative side, you know, like, that's what I found from Indians that I've known. So it's like, to think that they're gonna come here and be liberals because the liberals and the Democrats are the one that brought them here, it's like, at the end of the day, I don't know, like, number one, the likelihood of them even voting in the first place is low because, you know, they're new to the country, maybe they're more focused on other things, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it just seems... And then also, they're not a citizen, so maybe that makes it more difficult, and I don't know, so...
Like, I mean, of course...
To think that, yeah, it's like...
That's a subtext. Do I think that's the main reason? Maybe not, right? But I do think that if they had opposite political affiliation, you wouldn't see as much support for it as you do now.
Have a good night, Wolf. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Change most of the places. It was 2 or 3 percentage points, but the race and the electorate is so divided that's all.
So the key word, unfortunately, here is division. New York is...
Somebody said Latinos are conservative as fuck. I
See,
understand that.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
you understand that, like, the way that they voted this election was an anomaly, because for many, many years this has been the prevailing thinking.
Because for many, many years, it seems like the Democrats have just been lying this whole time and have been the sinister party, like, from... at least since the slaves were freed. And I don't know at what point, if they were good, when they were good, if ever.
Yeah,
they're just fake, and they're tricking everyone, and they've been tricking everyone the whole time. That's how I feel as a Canadian reacting to everything.
Latinos are also not monolithic. Yeah, there's actually that too.
Good morning. Today's about looking good, feeling good, doing good. So let me introduce you to the cult class.
So the key word, unfortunately, here is division. New York is very divided from how many states and many voters feel about our upcoming new president. And that's probably only going to become even more apparent as 2025 rolls around and he takes office for the second time. And even though the asylum crisis as a whole may change with less people entering the country through ports of entry or through the borders, it is ridiculous to think that cities like New York with progressive leaders won't rise up in opposition to that in some way, potentially passing policies that don't exactly make the asylum crisis better, even though they claim to. Like our right to shelter policy, which doesn't actually help people. Yes, it lets you move into a former hotel or into one of the gigantic tents out on Randall's Island, but it just does that. It's not actually helping people get on their feet and achieve the American dream, yet it exists, and it's something Republicans complain about, so maybe more of that will keep happening.
It's not feasibly possible for everyone to achieve the American dream. Everyone on the planet. It's not possible.
Even though it's not...
I've been seeing a lot more
Graham's Chess. How's it going? Thank you so much for the follow. How to get out of debt.
I don't know. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe not.
I've
been seeing way more squirrels.
I wish I knew. I wish I knew. Graham, I wish I knew. I wish I had some advice for you.
actually benefiting the very people who move into those shelters. Again, these
Are you in the
dangerous
States?
environments in many
Maybe
cases. Police are banned from going inside.
maybe
them
the
because
economy
this
will
is a
get better,
sanctuary city, so our local law enforcement
and
that
you
has
can
plenty of
start
resources to
saving.
I find it to be absolutely
Start
outrageous
saving
that
some
the
money.
police are banned from being able to accurately uphold the law. I don't understand what kind
Well,
of
not
brain
saving,
rot,
I guess,
brain dead, dumb
putting
fuck
that money
decision it
towards
is
your debt.
to make it to where they can't go in and enforce the legal laws, but somehow people have convinced themselves into believing this is a good thing. It's astonishing to me.
The president's safe with all these checkpoints.
Nathan Abel, who's that?
Stuff over here, they're not allowed to go into our shelters and patrol them looking for people who might be breaking the law. They're only allowed in if they've got a warrant for a specific individual, and what this does is this creates places that are more akin to like a minimum security prison because you've got gang members who are actually in charge in there, not law enforcement, not the city.
And like if you were a gang, like I'd probably try and do the same thing, right? Because like if you can get in there and get a bunch of these people to like commit crime for you and do shit for you really cheap because they're like not really from here, yeah, it's a huge, massive advantage. Absolutely, sure. Like a lot of the guys in like
this
these
guy's
gangs,
face,
like, they're not stupid. Like they might be like psychopaths, or they might be sociopaths, or they might be criminals, but they're not stupid people.
And this is not hyperbole either. It's out there for everyone who wants to see and look at it. New York's sanctuary status is actually aiding people who aren't here to help anybody but themselves in an illegal manner. And these are the results of bad policies, not because the asylum seekers themselves are bad, absolutely not, but because bad people are allowed to take advantage of laws that aren't protecting those who really need it. But sadly, the right to shelter system will...
And that's part of the problem, is that the people saying like, oh, it's not an issue, like the migrant crisis is not an issue, everyone deserves a chance, and you know, they're not criminals, yada yada, like some of them are, a good amount of them are, you know, or a good amount of them might be taking advantage because they can. People find ways to take advantage. People who want to take advantage will find ways to take advantage. And it's not just via the migrant crisis. People may take advantage via, you know, under the guise of, you know, maybe they're in the LGBT community, and then maybe they, you know, they use that as a guise or whatever, like to prey on children. Like it happens, and it's annoying that they say it's not happening and that it doesn't happen, because for some reason, if we call out one bad apple, the whole community gets offended, and that needs to end, because there are bad apples and they need to be called out. Okay?
Probably remain in its current state, not actually doing anything to help people, and some here will brag about it as a badge of pride because in their minds they're resisting tyranny and
we're helping, and meanwhile there's just a bunch of Haitians living in a tent
on someone's front porch, on someone's property.
Yeah, you're helping. For sure. Great. They're resisting.
Standing up for democracy against a president that
reminds me of, you know, like the South Park episode where they flew the whale to the moon.
they dislike. And with 55% of the state voting the way that they have pretty much in every other presidential election, the politics of New Yorkers as a whole aren't realigning, even though some political analysts are predicting that there will be a movement towards the center from those who may have previously been associated with left-leaning policies.
I think that most people that, like, as soon as they're negatively impacted by this migration or immigration, they will immediately swap over to the other party and immediately vote for it.
He's right.
Because, like, if you look at this in like a meta level, a lot of the reasons why people are racist is because they had a negative personal experience of the race that they don't like. So, like, you know, you don't like black people. Why do you not like black people? Well, you had a bad experience with a black person. It's like, oh, you don't like Hispanics? Okay, well, what happened? Why? Well, you had a bad experience with a Hispanic person, right?
That's true, but it could also be taught. Oh, it's there. Okay.
Think about how many women hate men. You don't really hate men. You just hate your ex-boyfriend who was mean to you. Or your dad. Or both. Shaped by media? It's built up by media, sure.
Do you see change coming to how people run elections now going forward, even next November?
So, one of the interesting things is that I can use the New Jersey 7th congressional district as an example. The candidate, the Democrat, she was very, very progressive and very, very left. She tried to run to the middle and didn't get there fast enough, and she lost. So I would expect that Democrats are going to continue to try and run to the right. They're going to try and run to the middle, and they're going to...
Yeah, nothing that New York City does in the near future is going to change any of that. I don't think there's going to be much of a realignment here at all, and that's because many of our notable elected officials were able to win by landslide margins without changing anything. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she won 70-30, which means she was more popular in her own district than Vice President Harris was on a state level. And she's going to be on...
Which makes sense. I mean, to be fair, it makes sense. Because also, like, there could be very, very clearly, she's like a well-known person now. She's been in politics now for like over 5 years. She's very young. People talk about her a lot. And so it could be also that she ran against a moron, right? There's also that factor too. She's a well-known meme. Yeah, a lot of people know her, and she's hot. Yeah, she is. That's also true.
She's hot.
Under a lot of pressure because as Donald Trump starts his second presidential term and starts doing things, there won't be too many progressive voices of opposition if people start moderating like they very well may in other parts of the country. Many of our local progressive leaders will be looked at as the voice of reason, and local progressives probably aren't going to change their positions on anything from immigration to inflation to jobs to taxes. Nope. And as far as local politics here goes, I don't think you're going to have this running to the center, so to speak. It might actually be the opposite. You may have people take more extreme positions than they did in the past because there is so much national progressive pressure.
I think if that happens, it's just going to alienate more people. And then by the time the next election comes around, assuming it's a person that like kind of goes with the same type of like value system that Trump did, I could see Republicans being even closer to winning. Yeah, because like the thing is that every single time that a lot of people are very generous with other people's time and other people's money, but the moment that these things affect them on a personal level, that's when things start to change. And so the moment that people feel like they're being negatively affected by migration, they'll immediately go against it because they don't really care about the politics of it or the ideal of it. They just care about like sounding good, but all of that goes completely in the garbage the moment that their personal well-being is in threat. Alienate who? They reelected AOC again? Well, yeah, because she's not the one that's going to do that. She has nothing to do with the deportations or anything like that. That's Trump.
But it can only go to those who still hold views that are in direct opposition to what people in many parts of the country, including swing states, voted against. And there's going to be a lot of people in New York who see their beliefs as a counterbalance to what they think is a problem for America. And there's still a large portion of the traditional media world that is very upset with this Trump victory. Up until election night, he wasn't supposed to win this thing. He was actually down in polling. That slowly started to change.
He was supposed to win.
I think all polls
and he
are rigged.
did.
I think they're total bullshit. I don't know why anybody would believe the polls.
After the votes came in and were counted, but 538, that's what the most reputable polling thing out there. Well, that guy, Nate Silver, he's thrown out his model saying that it doesn't accurately predict elections, and he was supposed to be one of the most accurate. But hopefully something can be done.
I think I would have been more accurate than him.
Asylum seekers, because we've still got 65,000 of them living in shelters, and they're not being prepared in any way to reach for what New York said they were going to get when they moved in. Many of them are now so homeless.
You've never been asked to take a political
Guys,
poll.
look at us, we're helping.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
In tents outside of the shelters where they moved into, and they have to do that because they have to go back to the shelters to get their mail, and the mail contains their asylum information. So we'll have to see what happens.
Oh, a political poll. Oh, sorry. I know. That's what I wonder too. Like, I wonder how do they like calculate these things? Because who when they say the polls show Trump losing, like exactly. I wonder that too. Like, are there Like, are they just, like, going to the street and asking random people? Like, is it, like... Yeah, but it sounds like it's estimates. It sounds like it's estimates, so I don't know why they call it polling if it's estimates.
Humanitarian crisis on our hands here in New York, and it's a problem that's probably not going to get fixed through political stuff. Because
that's actually really sad. I'm gonna be honest, because it's gonna kill a lot of them. I bet it will.
Hold on, what's gonna... Whoa, hold on, what?
Outside of the shelters where they moved into, and they have to do that because they have to go back to the shelters to get their mail, and the mail contains their asylum information. So we'll have to see what happens with that. We've still got a very big humanitarian crisis on our hands here in New York.
Winter.
It's a problem that's probably not going to get fixed through political stuff. Because
that's actually really sad. I'm gonna be honest, because it's gonna kill a lot of them. I bet it will. Fuck, man, that sucks.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Man.
We'll see, but
yeah,
I don't
0
know.
below winter? Yeah, that's really sad.
That's what brought it here. It needs to start helping actual people. But what do you think about that? How would you go about fixing New York City's asylum crisis? And do you think that a lot of people are going to be asked to leave the country? Do you think many asylum applications are going to get denied? Do you think New York is going to see more migration from folks who may have been told to leave the country and don't want to and come here specifically because this is a sanctuary city? And how is that going to impact the legitimate goals of real asylum seekers, who are the vast majority of these folks to begin with? Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.
Well, I think, like, I really like this guy. You know, he makes videos a lot about, like, New York and just, like, what's going on there. And I find it to be really interesting. There's a video. Give it a like. This was really, really good. And I think this is going to keep happening, by the way. I'll probably watch a follow-up to this in a couple of days. And so, basically, Trump appointed this guy. This is the guy.
No one believed it at first, but now everyone...
Well, I think, like, I really like this guy. You know, he makes videos a lot about, like, New York.
I feel like I want to change tune and watch something different.
There is
Shit. Fuck. The hell?
is a new national website that the government have just set up, and they want you to help them, because if you see any patches of blue in the sky, any patches at all, they need to know about it. And immediately they will launch a set of aeroplanes that will go up and fill up that patch of blue. I think they'll do it within 30 minutes, something like that. That is the pledge that they have given. Because at the moment there is, of course, this desire to block out the sun. So if you see a patch of blue, please, you know, report to the government and let...
It's so funny because, like, I haven't seen a blue sky, a proper blue sky, a proper sunny day in, like, over a year.
them know, because we cannot have that dangerous sunlight filtering through, giving us healthy vitamin D. Now, I should just say, that's a joke. That's a joke, ladies and gentlemen. I say that because the AI on YouTube can't always work out what humour is, or jokes, or satire. They have a big problem with that. Obviously, there is, I'm just saying this for the sake of YouTube and the AI, that was made up. That was just a bit of fun. That's not medical misinformation, as sometimes they say, because the last time I did a sort of spoof video, I was dressed up as a German with some solution that was pretending to be something that might come down and affect people's well-being, let's say. And I did it as Professor Krakenpotten. Hello there, I'm Professor Krakenpotten. Within an hour, that video was off and I was banned for a week. So I just say that. However, have you seen the sun? Has anyone actually seen the sun?
No, I haven't seen it in like 2 years. It's always blocked by something. Haze, clouds, like...
do you know about this yellow orb that's in the sky? That is normally in times at this time of year when you were going out into the countryside and looking at the beautiful colours of autumnal leaves falling from the trees, the golden browns and yellows and oranges, and seeing the sun, the shafts of the sun going through those trees and going, isn't this a beautiful and wonderful place? Yeah, because that does happen. I know that happened. It's not just, you know, me dreaming that once we had sunshine, that once in the autumn we did actually have that golden orb shining down. That's not just me making that up. I actually have videos where in the past when I used to go out doing my walking videos as the Bald Explorer, I would be walking in those shafts of sunshine. I would be there filming it, I remember, with a camera, and actually doing it. Now, of course, this may be the Mandela effect. Perhaps I'll go back online to, say, 5 years ago, and I'll look in the autumn section of my videos, and maybe it was all dull and grey every day. Has anyone actually seen the sun? Is the sun really there? Is it a thing? Or do we just live under a fluorescent tube now? Because that's what it feels like.
It does feel like that.
I haven't seen
it literally does feel like that.
The actual sun, and felt the sun's warm rays for at least a month. At least.
Dude, it's been 2 years for me. Like at least over a year. It's been over a year.
A month. This crisscrossing across the country, England particularly, does seem to be targeted by the, what do they call it? The stratospheric aerosol spray.
Injections.
You know, geoengineering. Chemtrails. Let's just call it what it is. Chemical trails in the sky. And we know what they're doing. They're targeting the farmers, of course. They're targeting us. It's all part of that... thing that they want to do, because there's too many of those useless eaters in this world, and they haven't managed to eradicate us with certain medical interventions enough. I mean, hopefully by now people have woken up to the point that there are these things that are trying to get rid of us, and there are those supermarkets that sell nutrient-free, vitamin-deficient food, so you eat all of these chemicals, you know, the flavourings, the preservatives, the colourings, and all the other, the E numbers, and all those chemicals. I'm sure you love them. We're all addicted to all those E numbers. Oh, can't get enough of those E numbers. God, blimey, I wish I had more. There are many ways in which they are trying to eradicate those people that walk about and try to laugh and smile and enjoy life and have fun and meet other people in pubs or in social groups or whatever. You know, that's not permitted, because actually what the government would like to do is to sort of get us all into a little tight squeeze within a 15-minute city, and then on the tops of lampposts, these ray guns, sorry, the 5G technology, it's very easy to get confused, isn't it? Can go and you know, target you through the digital ID and the CBDCs and all the other.
Is that what the 5G's for?
Virtual.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But have you seen the sun?
Oh shit!
Seen it? Have you?
I would not.
I mean,
be
if you
surprised.
one of those very lucky people that has gone, I stand here. If I stand just here and like this,
yeah,
yes, I can get an
yeah.
array of sun. I can get
yeah.
a tiny morsel.
Yeah.
Of vitamin
what
D.
the fuck?
By the way, we should all be at
it's
this
so
time
true.
of year
I'm like
having as much.
Like waiting for the bus. I'm like, the fucking sun is blocked all the gosh darn time. It's always like blocked. Like, yes, clouds used to block the sun. That's normal. But like, it's always blocked. And if it's not by big, like, sprayed crap, it's like, I don't know, it's just
Vitamin D supplements as we possibly can. Now, on my channel, there is a link to.
And then they want to get rid of health food. So they're gonna block this. They're gonna block the sun, but then they want to get rid of health food stores. So like, how are we supposed to get our like vitamins and minerals if you're removing it from our food, removing it from our sky? Like, what the fuck?
Vitamin D's.
Removing it from you know, as a supplement.
Supplements, obviously. And he does vitamin D. There are other people available that do it. Perhaps the high street ones that you go to in every high street, some of the famous names, perhaps are not the best to have because, you know, they are big multinational companies. I probably wouldn't be trusting those myself. That's just a personal opinion, of which we're all used to be allowed to have a personal opinion, but these days it's very difficult to have a personal opinion because other people, mainly the trolls sitting out there going, they don't like you having your own opinion. They want you to stick to the mainstream narrative.
Well, it's not even just the trolls.
I'll say, have you seen the sun? And I'm sure if you scroll down those people who actually haven't seen the sun because they're down in their basements going, I'm paid by the 77th Brigade. Those people, mostly AI or don't have a life, will be on there saying, oh, you don't need sunlight. No, 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 no. It's perfectly fine to have a grey sky every single day. I saw the sun. I saw the sun. I was watching this film and there the sun was. I got my vitamin D through my virtual reality screen. Because after all, we can probably get artificial suns now, can we not? And I'm not talking about sunbeds. I'm not talking about that, although possibly that might be an answer if you need to get some vitamin D. I don't know whether sunbeds give you vitamin D. They certainly give you an orange tin.
Tanning beds, I think you're talking about.
I don't know whether that's good for you or not. I'm not really into that. But if you can just, you know, do a picture, go on Google search and get a picture of the sun, apparently, you know, that's enough. No, that's another joke, by the way. Please don't believe that. I don't want people just there. But, you know, they may well say that. They, you know, that's, I think that's going to be my my way of dealing with it. Then they know who they are. And I'm sure somebody somewhere will probably cut that out and put it into a video. Yeah, we know who you are. Anyway, have you seen the sun? If you've not seen the sun, then make sure you get some vitamin D inside you and keep yourself healthy. Because
haven't in 2 years.
By the way, we were told the other day there might be snow coming. Snow, yes. Can you imagine snow in the winter?
Huh?
That's almost unheard of in recent times. But actually, if you go back and you read sort of, you know, books from the old days before they were doing the stratospheric aerosol spraying, the geoengineering, the chemtrailing, all of that nonsense. If you read those books from those times, we did actually have snow in the winter. Before they started manipulating everything, we did. We had snow. Yeah, that white stuff that comes down. Yeah, we did have it. Yeah, that's a thing, by the way. That's a natural thing.
How are you, Luisito? How's it going?
It might be down to the quantity of snow. That's the problem, because these people who do the weather manipulation, those lot, who've got all the big levers and they've got what is it? That musical instrument they've got? It's
the
a big
cello,
harp, I believe, and they can play that, and somehow the reverberations that go out from this musical that can create this big.
Oh, he's talking about
stuff. But they can, but by playing a certain
harp.
frequency on their
He's talking about
harp, they can probably create huge amounts of snow to disrupt everybody, because you know what will happen. Not only is it necessary for them to, get rid of all the farmers and upset them. And the government like to help the farmers, of course, instead of growing food, farmers will make life easier. Just plant some flowers or have some solar panels. Solar panels will be good. We'll pay you £1,000 an acre and you can have solar panels all on the farmland, and we'll block out the sun, and so there's no electricity. Because after all, electricity
I'm not sure what you mean.
Bad this week, or is it good?
Y es cabeza de rodilla.
Never make up their mind, can you? 1 minute.
Cabeza, I know.
Oh, very good.
I'm not sure what.
Oh, sorry, red wine.
Rodilla
very bad
means.
For you. Margarine, very good for you. No, wait a minute. Margarine, not so good for you. Smoking, yeah, have smoke as much as you damn well like, because we're getting the tax on it. Oh, no. We've got a certain thing that we need to jab somebody's arm with.
They used to recommend cigarettes in hospitals and stuff before studies came out and it's actually bad for us. Let's not
terribly
do that.
Bad. Ooh, dreadful. In fact, so bad it'll be the only product that you can pick up off the shelf legally that has 50% with big bold hypnotic NLP.
At Desjardins, we speak business.
So you happy with your expansion?
Yeah, it was definitely the right call.
Excuse me.
Now let's talk about upgrading.
Which really boosted revenues. Nice.
Eu entendi poquito.
At Desjardins,
and I briefed all of the leadership
Entendi.
of the plans to get them back into chambers. That would be call number 3 with Speaker Pelosi.
Só falta os
one call, you didn't have 2 calls, you had 3 calls. So Speaker Pelosi's comments that she didn't speak to you are inaccurate.
That is correct, sir.
Today we're here to discuss the security failures that occurred on January 6, 2021.
Common.
And how we can prevent these failures.
Thank you
from
for the
occurring
follow.
Again. I want to dive into the questions,
How's it
Chief
going?
Son. In your transcribed interview, you mentioned that you met with the House Sergeant at Arms
Estou
regarding
in
the
Canada.
National Guard prior to January 6th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And who was the House Sergeant at Arms leading up
Y tú?
to and on January 6th?
That would be Paul Irving.
And the House Sergeant at Arms is appointed by who?
As appointed at that time
I don't
by
know what
Speaker
I want to
Pelosi.
watch now. Hold on, let me check my other channel subscriptions. Oh, excuse me. Let's see what's happening in China. Let's see what's happening.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you feel.
Welcome everybody to a very special report. Something crazy is going on in China, and it's
Really?
been going on this weekend, and it started Friday night, and it's just escalated and gone crazy. And we wanted to tell you about it because it's quite special.
Griga que idade tens? 35.
Indeed, they did.
You're hot. Thank you, Common. Common. How's it going?
It's insane. So first we
Please
wanted to
de
show
Mexico.
you this.
Eu sou portuguesa. Portugal. Eu falo português, então compreendo pouquito.
Have seen this in the thumbnail? This says freedom.
But I live
I'm
in
effing
Canada.
writing to you.
Yes, it's actually a play on words.
Sorry, what is this?
You might have seen this in the thumbnail. This says, freedom, I'm effing writing to you.
Yes, it's actually a play on words.
Yes.
So what they've done is the F word, or the equivalent of the F word, tamada here. They've used different characters to kind of mask that.
Yeah, so if the police or the authorities say, like, how dare you write this? They're like, no, I wrote spicy, it's just jumbled characters.
So it's a loophole.
But it does mean freedom. I'm effing right into you, which is pretty badass.
Yeah, it's really cool. So let's...
I bet you any money that this uprising is because Trump got voted in.
Let's get to the root of all this. We're going to show you some footage first.
I could be wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised.
What's he saying?
He says, this is youth, this is Henan. They're going on the main road, the big road here.
So it's like 100,000 cavalrymen, basically. Iron Knights.
Meaning bikes, bicycles.
Yeah, bicycles.
Yeah. Sounds cooler to say cavalrymen.
I think
I like your creative liberty there. Towards Kaifeng. So Kaifeng is a city in Henan province in central China. And up to 100,000 people ended up getting shared bikes, which are bikes that you use your phone to kind of unlock.
I've done many videos about that.
Many videos, yeah. And they took to the streets and they all decided to head towards Kaifeng from Zhengzhou.
So we're going to tell you why Kaifeng is important in a minute. Let's take a look.
It was way more than just this area, by the way.
Yeah. So welcome to Kaifeng.
Uh-oh. Didn't expect that to happen.
Obviously, that's going to happen. The Chinese government is absolutely petrified, scared of any kind of mass mobilization or any kind of mass gathering, any kind of movement, and this has really gotten them scared. But before we continue, maybe you could quickly tell everybody what Kaifeng is famous for.
So Kaifeng it's in central China. It's the birthplace / most important city of Chinese culture.
Yeah.
Meaning like Han Chinese culture. It's where the Han people were kind of birthed from.
And not Attila the Hun, like H-A-N, which is the majority of China, or Han.
91%.
Han majority, what am I saying?
It's basically
Han ethnicity,
it's the majority of Chinese people are Han ethnicity. Yeah. They run the country. They're the most dominant racial group in China, ethnic group in China. And basically Henan, this area of central China, is the birthplace of that. Right?
Yes.
So it's an important area. However,
that's not why everyone's going there.
The significance of this has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, let's play just a quick little bit here.
It's a little history.
Yeah. We like you to be informed. Yeah, now they're hurting them.
Turning decades of information into a source of future inspiration. That's what really matters.
So they're actually preventing
Luisito,
people from riding
gracias.
bikes right now all over
Muchas
China.
Gracias.
Shared bike companies are also,
no hay problema que da tiene 35.
The bike companies are now discouraging the rides. Some bike rental companies that operate in Zhengzhou, so we're the epicenter of this, announced that their bikes would lock if residents attempted to take them out of the area. However,
how did this start?
Yes, we need to tell you how this started. 4 girls.
This
will play in the footage, so just let it rip. Basically, 4 girls in a university made a trip. They decided that they were going to go to Kaifeng from Zhengzhou. It's about 50 kilometers away, right?
Yeah.
And they were going to get on shared bikes, which are slow and kind of painful to ride.
They're awful.
And they documented their journey, their arduous journey, right? So they did this to go get famous soup dumplings in Kaifeng. Kaifeng is famous for its street food. It's famous for its night markets. It's one of the only areas in China that has night markets that people talk about in the same breath as Taiwan's night markets, right? It's a big night marketplace. Yeah. Therefore, they went at night. They wanted to go. Right? Now, after they documented this, it inspired not just 4 people, but hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, some people say up to 800,000. I mean, take a look at these clips you're seeing here of the roads just completely choked with bicycles. And we've got, like, this is the shared bikes in the morning in some areas where they left it. By the way, they're doing this all at night as well. Yeah. It's like night rides are the thing. It's
pretty badass.
Yeah, here are the people they've passed out in the restaurants and so on because of the the long journey, and some people have been riding over 100 kilometers, 150
I think you guys,
kilometers.
I want people to have perspective on how you can play it. I want people to have perspective on how long they rode. They rode for like the whole night.
No sé.
And a lot of
No
people, you know, they're obviously not on a nighttime schedule, so this is like very tiring.
Yes.
But I had a great quote from this guy. He says that he didn't feel tired at all because he got to make friends. He got to meet people along the way. He got to chat the entire time, and he said that 5, 6, 7 hours or whatever ripped by.
Yeah.
Because he was having so much fun, and I wanted the perspective of you guys to understand. You have to understand 100,000 people in one group is insane.
Yeah.
Like a big moving throng of people. In China, this does not happen.
Never.
It does not happen. It does not happen for a reason, because every time there's uprisings like this, the Chinese government thinks it's some sort of democracy protest.
Yes. Or something that could threaten their power.
Yes, and that's what they're so concerned about. But there's some supreme irony here that I want to talk about.
Sure.
So here's the
here's these are some of the individual documentation of these trips. Some of the students sharing them.
Yes.
Of course, these are not the big crowds.
Those ones were headed to Tiananmen Square.
Sola.
So what I wanted to bring up is this didn't just stay in Hunniebee.
No.
Right?
No.
For example, the students that heard about it in Beijing all started riding to Tiananmen
No married
Square,
and never
which is a big
wanna be.
no-no for the Chinese government.
Yes, don't go to Tiananmen Square as a big
Não
group of
vou
students on
me
bicycles.
casar
I'll tell you what, that's a
nunca.
very bad idea.
The students in Nanjing rode to Anhui. The students from Chengdu and Sichuan, remember these are thousands of kilometers apart.
Yes.
Students from Chengdu rode to Dujiangyan, and students in Wuhan rode somewhere. Students in Xi'an actually got stopped before they could mobilize, but the Chinese government cut it off immediately, right? And it's funny because this is really cool. This truck driver in Inner Mongolia saw these students, and he was like, "Why are you riding in the dark?" and lit their way to go to Tiananmen Square.
Exactly.
So 100,000 was in Henan, right? But every one of these epicenters had their own destination to go to.
Yes.
And so this turned into, right now, people are claiming at least, before I was saying at most, now some people are claiming at least 800,000 bicycles hit the road.
Yeah.
Almost 1 million people.
800,000.
Uprising across China.
Just over the weekend.
Holy
Yes, over
cow.
the weekend. And that's crazy to us.
It's 'cause
And you
Trump
have to
won.
Put some perspective on for you guys. This doesn't happen in China because the Chinese government shuts everything down before it can happen. For example, if I call you and say, "Hey, let's go ride bikes,"
I don't know if
and
that's
then you
why,
call
but
someone else and you call
I
someone
wouldn't
else,
be
it will be
surprised.
only a matter of minutes before the Chinese government goes, "Oh, okay, wait a second. Let's stop this before it turns into something."
Yes.
The fact that this materialized and actually snowballed into this is
The sky don't lie, guys.
shows that it can happen.
It can. By the way, when they reached Beijing, this is what they're greeted with.
Of course.
Sky don't lie.
Get a
The
clear
sky
sky?
don't
Come
lie.
on.
Just saying.
Don't even
Doesn't that look fantastic? What a destination. Anyway, you're right. Usually anything that's organized en masse gets shut down immediately.
Yeah.
And they can do it very quickly and very easily. The problem is it's very difficult to stop shared bikes. Like you can stop people boarding trains and
Yes.
buses. You can stop that, right? You can stop people getting on planes.
Yeah.
But you can't stop people getting on a shared bike because they're everywhere.
Let's show them.
Yeah.
Keep playing it.
Oh.
I wanted to read a.
Cute.
Some people are saying this just looks like a good time. It is.
It is.
Mostly
That's-
just a good time.
We have to stress that this is
Não-
a
não
positive.
posso, I'm
It's
already
great
in
for a couple
Canada.
of reasons. Now, I'm sure you'll
Já
see a
estou
lot
aqui.
of China's detractors will be like, "Oh, this is a new revolution. This is the end. You know, this is whatever the Communist Party's nightmare. They're gonna." It's not about that. It's about this frustrated youth. Take a look at this.
I mean, it is related to that. Though.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
is.
There is that, but
Yeah.
it's not. That's not what is happening.
No.
This is. It can
It's not
turn
like the
in-
main
It
motivation.
can turn into that.
It can.
But the
And it
whole
probably
point
did in a
is,
way.
yeah. I mean, we saw the guy, the freedom. You know, like I'm effing cycling to you. But it really is that China's youth, these college-age kids, have been put through the ringer. They've been indoctrinated. They've been taught all of this nationalism, all this hatred, all this nonsense their entire lives. They've had to study so incredibly hard to get anywhere in life, and then the prospects for them aren't really very good.
Yes.
And you know, with the economy in the downturn like it is, they need an outlet.
So there's two things we're fighting here.
No
Take a
Nintendo.
look at the amount of people.
I
It's
know,
crazy.
it's insane. Number one, there are people that are literally right now
Tambay
scrambling
no
to run deflection pieces.
Nintendo.
In fact, I just saw a state media outlet just ran
También.
one.
Yeah.
A deflection
También
piece.
no
And then there's
Nintendo.
people working for the Chinese government that are saying, look at all these people banding together to like reunify Taiwan.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
like they're
nonsense.
running all kinds of crazy
Sure.
stuff. Then the other thing I want to combat here is this idea that this is some sort of like massive white paper protest type thing where they're trying to overthrow the government. I don't think either of those are true, but there is a lot of discontent that caused this. There is an undercry. There's a cry out for help from these youth. And I have a quote here from Edison.
Okay.
And Edison said, we are a forsaken generation. So this kind of college-age generation who endured indoctrination by the government and grueling exams only to enter a decaying society where earning a living is difficult.
Yes.
And that, I think, is the underpinning here.
Yeah.
It's not that, they're looking at certain leaders or certain whatever to overthrow or something, but there is a massive discontent in China right now with a massive youth unemployment, no prospects for jobs. In what better way to stop being cooped up and feel like trapped in this horrible authoritarian society than to everyone just get a bike. Everyone has access to one of these.
Everyone, get on a bike.
Get on a bike and just go get some freaking dumplings. Because that's awesome.
It is. It's awesome.
It's so fun.
It's fun. It's youth. It's what you do.
I would have loved to have been in that.
Oh, yeah. I would have definitely, given the chance, I would have joined them.
In fact, it's not just students. People from all over China, adults came in to join the students.
Yeah.
And apparently the transportation was so booked up that people wanted to join the event, right?
Yeah.
I want to explain some supreme irony right now.
Sure.
This actually started as being promoted by the Chinese government. In fact, People's Daily, Chinese state mouthpiece, ran a thing about how, look at the exuberant youthful energy of everybody in China. Like, and they show the flags, Chinese flags. Everyone's like really nationalistic right now. And even in Kaifeng, they were super pumped. The authorities were like, we need to get traffic cops here to escort people. This is great. It's going to be good for business.
Yeah,
they
it's
open
great
early,
for tourism.
Open late. It's great for tourism.
Yeah, look at that crazy amount of people though.
But that was when it was in its infancy.
Yeah,
it
was like maybe a couple hundred people or something, and now it's
like, these kids riding bikes to go get some dumplings. They're like, yay, this is great. China's fun. And then it became this, and the government started spazzing.
Yeah, of course they would.
Because then you get the flags for freedom. Then you get the people having little interviews for blogs and stuff saying, hey, actually, I hate my life.
And then they start to have discourse.
Yes.
And I mean, imagine you've got so many people from all over now talking about the problems they face in their life. And suddenly, all of these issues that the government censors and doesn't allow to be discussed are being discussed freely. And that's something they really don't want to happen. Because they can't censor speech.
No.
Real life, IRL speech.
No.
They can't be there and say like, whoa, you can't say that. I mean, if you try to talk about it online, you're screwed. But now in person, you can voice your discontent.
It's one of those things that quickly morphed into something else. And the Chinese government's absolutely terrified this will become another white paper protest like we saw during COVID lockdowns in Shanghai, where people were asking for the government to step down. They were asking for these things that make them so terrified.
Excuse me.
They don't want to see that
Where
happen with
is
this.
it?
The fact that this happened across the country as well, that's very wholesome.
Yeah.
But that is very scary. Imagine people mobilizing. If you can shut down one city, right? People are mobilizing in many cities in different areas around China. That's a completely different thing.
Yeah, that's right.
It's crazy for them.
Yeah, I know. So they've really, it's a big headache for the government at the moment.
So it's not. So it's not a revolution.
I see it as a very positive thing for the college students and for the youth in China because, there isn't enough of this kind of thing going around in China.
I'm going to read some of these things here.
Okay, go ahead.
People were complaining that why can we have marathons and other sporting events, but now you're blocking us off from doing
this? Yeah, because now they've actually stopped. They're actually actively stopping people from riding bicycles. And the traffic police are trying to stop anyone who tries to ride a bicycle.
Oh, don't go cry.
They don't want this to continue.
Yes.
They don't want this to snowball out of control.
Yeah,
They've decided, that's it,
I'm
enough. You had your fun. No more bicycles for you.
Yes,
correct.
Over here, I'm looking at this. High-level CCP orders have locked down universities now. They're very scared that another white paper protest is unfolding, and they don't want any spontaneous gatherings at all. It says it isn't clear when the craze really took off, but by early this month.
This thing about
Have you
Johnny
ever
Somali.
considered just how different dogs are to us? Puppies grow up 6 times faster than a baby. Each dog is incredibly unique. Feed your dog's unique needs with Royal Canin Precise Nutrition.
to know like people's testimony on toilet paper. Like that's what's dumb.
This IRL streamer was just humbled by the Korean government as things just got so much worse for the most hated IRL streamer in the world. It now seems like making a living off of harassing strangers on the street and being an all-around burden to society is backfiring on him massively as he was just indicted again. And this all comes as a massive blow to him and his fans as they were claiming that his travel ban was going to be over in 2 weeks and then he would leave before Korea could then punish him. As this is what they were saying inside of his Discord server, but a reported account claiming to be Johnny also confirmed that he would be leaving in 2 weeks and will announce which country he will be going to next. It's a little hard to verify if it's actually him or not, as most of his posts are just him asking for financial support from fans and reiterating all of the hateful rhetoric he's been spewing on his streams in general. Like, if you just look at this account, he's essentially just posting awful posts mocking the comfort ladies to like 50 people, which is hilarious because if this is really him, it shows how incredibly stupid this guy is acting, as he's willing to likely get a way harsher punishment by completely invalidating his obvious fake apology to try and entertain like 50 people. And he just keeps on getting banned on Twitter anyway, so it's not like this is gonna last for long either. And this guy is banned on absolutely everything except for Rumble. So instead of apologizing like in a genuine way and returning to, you know, being a productive member of society, he would rather crash out in the most pathetic way possible. So in my last video, we talked about the whole bunch of felonies that he committed and what his max sentence could be if the judge really decided to put their foot down on him. But as I posted in my last video, he only officially had his passport taken away from him for 1 month while they investigated.
I understand, you know, eu sei.
They officially said something around the lines of, "Hey bud, we see that you're planning on leaving in 2 weeks. That's not gonna happen. Have fun staying here," as he's now been officially indicted for the incident at 7-Eleven. Then on top of that, they're now going to extend his travel ban until there's a verdict there. So no matter what, this dude is now stuck in Korea for a long time. And it's also, in a way, hilarious this guy decided to just ruin his life by being a disrespectful moron inside of a 7-Eleven. Like, this is just pathetic behavior. And it's like, he's probably streaming for what, 200 to 300 people. Imagine ruining your life trying to entertain 200 to 300 people.
Sorry, I'm black.
Quien la viera.
I don't drink. Here, no drink. No. Here. I eat the ramen.
Oh, is that alcohol?
Okay, I said I'm eating the ramen.
She's telling him to be quiet. Oh my god, he's so rude. He's so disrespectful.
Like, what is the point of this? Like, bro, you're hilarious for this, man.
Right to say you should never have kids.
That's terrible. Like, come on. ¿Sabías que los nopales son para las vacas?
Also, imagine going to prison for years for this.
Y los frijoles para los
definition of a crash out.
Y el arroz para los pollos. Los nopales son para las vacas. Nopales no sé. Los frijoles.
I did not drink it, you stupid.
Cochinos.
You Chinese ass. You.
Oh my gosh, this guy is terrible. He's doing the...
If they actually throw him in prison for a couple of years for that, that is actually pretty fun.
The dance.
So, because for that charge alone, he's looking at up to a potential 5 years in prison and a $15 million
Gangnam Style,
fine, which is a little bit north of $10,000. And I'm just watching all of this go down is fascinating because his upside here is so limited as he's getting banned on everything. Yet his downside is massive. I mean, he's facing years in prison in Korea because he
feel
wanted
like
to
I know
entertain
what
like
that is.
300 people. Like, that is the most pathetic way to ruin your life. But that is so far from it when it comes to his legal troubles, because remember the deepfake incident with him? As he decided to stream and brag about getting a Korean girlfriend. So he made this AI deepfake video of him and the streamer making out. This woman is apparently an IRL streamer by the name of Bong Bong, and she streamed herself actually pressing charges against him. And since she's a Korean IRL streamer, I ran this through an AI translation tool as well, so we can get the gist of it. This one seems to be a little bit more like I had to. They couldn't generate an English version of her voice. So I used like the more default AI voices. But at least we understand what's going on in the stream clip.
I'm trying to report.
Oh, I don't know how to grade the video.
It's a kissing video. But he's a little bit of a celebrity now, and he's kind of been in the news a lot lately. So
I made a composite video of Minho's
I
face.
sent out a composite video of him kissing me.
So I'm assuming composite was directly translated, and it's like an AI video.
Now,
It was a fake video. It's not just sex.
or just Zach's. No kissing?
That's a little vague, but let me check.
Oi.
Is the scene... Whose photos did you combine?
Me and that YouTuber.
YouTuber. Now, some YouTuber and his face.
It's him and me kissing.
Is that a manipulated video?
Yeah. No.
I didn't do anything. Wait a minute.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Is this Johnny Somali? Johnny Somali? That black YouTuber with the slightly girly kisses?
When you get angry with someone, tell them
You
to
don't watch
go
YouTube?
F themselves.
No.
YouTuber. Is he Korean?
Foreigner, black YouTuber.
But now he... Video details. Do people know now?
Maybe you. Myself?
And
I'm
all
not in
her
Korea.
chat.
I'm
And
in
her
Korea
entire
now.
audience.
In Korea. That person is now the target.
If it's on the news right now, it's him.
Que merda le
Is probably
está
banned from the country right now.
dizendo? It's alguém, não sei dizer, não sei.
Now.
Yeah, this is such a bizarre thing to be watching, especially with an AI translation. Like, I get, it would probably be better to use a real translator, but the problem is it would probably take 2 to 3 days to get something back, and by then, the whole case is probably changed, or like the whole story, because like we're kind of covering this as it's all unfolding. But it is interesting the police
How do
knew
I
who she was
get
talking about
this
because
translated?
he's all over the media there.
English? Do you know his real name?
do I
Ramsey
get
Khalid
this
Israel.
translated?
It's a complaint right now, so we can talk about it later when I give my statement. Did I give you my phone number there? Yeah.
Yeah, so I cut that because, I mean, this is definitely a very botched version of the translation, and a lot of it just did not make sense. But she did end up deciding not to press charges after all for some reason. My guess is because she did go and stream with him, and she also said very unpleasant things about him as well, which could also be illegal in Korea. But for some reason, the Korean government, they announced that it didn't even matter if she dropped the charges because they might still prosecute him either way. And this is apparently all because of a bill that was introduced in South Korea in September of this year, where it says anyone purchasing, saving, or watching such material can face up to 3 years in jail or be fined up to 30 million won. So wow. Yeah, I mean, he picked the wrong country to go to. That's what it seems like, to do his antics. Someone made a full...
Não sei if that's the right word.
List of the current laws that he broke, which is apparently National Security Law, Anti-Terrorism Act, Business Obstruction, the deepfake incident, a crime of insult, defamation, an act of assault, Narcotics Control Act, and finally, a misdemeanor penalty act. So again, yeah, it just seems like he picked a terrible country to be doing his antics in, because now the prosecutors have so many felonies to go through because he live streamed everything. So they can just kind of pick and choose what they decide to charge him for. And so far,
like,
he's been indicted for one thing. And,
search Johnny Somali.
The whole situation is just so laughably stupid because all you have to do is respect the people and culture of South Korea, and you're gonna have a great time in South Korea. It's not that hard, but apparently for Johnny, that is just way too hard, and his track record absolutely does not help him here, because you have everything that happened in Japan.
I'm over it. I'm on to the next topic. How am I not subscribed on this channel? Videos.
This is probably the worst story you'll hear the entire election season that sadly won't be the last, as I honestly believe this is all by design, where the Democrats constantly push these knowingly false, extreme narratives to motivate their base into action while completely ignoring the very real consequences of this political strategy. As in Minnesota, a pathetic excuse for a father allegedly ended himself and his entire family. The Daily Mail reports he went to his ex's home and took out her and their teenage son. Then he went to his home to take out his wife and their young son. Then finally did it to himself right after. As it is now known, he was growing increasingly afraid of religious zealots coming after him and his family, being burned at the stake like a witch, with previous statements saying Republicans will make it harder for women to escape abuse, citing Gilead, which is again Democrats suggesting Republicans will make America like the fictitious Handmaid's
Oh my god,
Tale,
these people are crazy.
Never 1-to-1. The Democrats told him to take out his family, so he did it. But if you constantly tell someone that is clearly mentally unwell that Donald Trump is literally Hitler, he's coming to take your family, and your life is at stake, you run the very real risk that they will actually believe your constant top-to-bottom messaging, as these people go to concerts hearing this.
These people are liars.
They turn on the TV to see this.
He's not gonna, say, oh, you're with a white guy, I'm gonna keep you from being deported. No, he's gonna deport you and put the white guy with someone else. The man is out there.
They watch their political leaders say this.
You people are out there. You people are out there.
Falls into the general definition of fascist.
Wrong.
Who in fact vowed to be a dictator on day one and vowed to use the military as his personal militia. Donald Trump is increasingly unhinged.
Where was all this during your concession speech? If he's such a threat, then where was all this? You conceded no problem. So what the fuck? Oh wow, we can actually see her right ear for once.
And unstable.
Interesting.
And go on social media to hear their favorite musicians say this.
We are voting for Kamala Harris.
Sorry.
In malls because they are fighting to protect
that was
our
a very passionate
freedom,
laugh,
our planet,
but then
and our democracy.
We can't let extremists control our lives, our freedoms, and our future. The only way to stop them and the dangerous Project 20.
It's literally the other way around.
5 agenda.
Oh, shut up.
And elect Kamala Harris.
Vote like your life depends on it.
Gatito,
And as the Daily Mail reported, that so-called father began believing increasingly bizarre theories, discussing his mental issues and how he attempted to delete himself before. So maybe it's not a good idea to send absolutely every element of your political machine at someone like that, as I'm willing to bet absolutely no one taking a paycheck to say these insanely absurd things on camera actually believes them. It's just a script they're knowingly reading for the mentally unwell, as almost every study done between conservatives and liberals show that liberals are much more likely to have these issues, but that never stops them from preying upon those problems for their gain. As beyond the media, even in California public schools, you had a teacher telling kids Trump is like Hitler and could put you in a concentration camp. And this is a public school teacher that leads their mental health club with non-stop top-to-bottom propaganda. Some of these people never stood a chance.
So messed
now, I'm
up.
in no way forgiving that father for doing the worst thing imaginable, as if he was some sort of victim in this, because he's not. He's subhuman. I'm just also implicating the Democrats and their new strategy of capitalizing on the easily manipulated members of their party, purposely activating their emotional instability to utilize them as useful idiots that will do their bidding. As a Democrat congressman with a very specific tie to China has already called them into action, and a Muse on X shows us countrywide how they immediately went into the streets for them. And I take no pleasure in calling somebody a useful idiot, but it bewilders me to see thousands of people rush into the streets after a single tweet from their political leaders, that of which aren't marching with them this time. In fact, even Biden said he'll be sitting down with Trump shortly, which doesn't quite sound like something you'd be doing with Hitler, so maybe they didn't actually mean what they campaigned on. And many of these protesters can't name a single right they lost during Trump's last administration, but they do know they have to disrupt the liberal city they live in to protest Trump's next administration, because the effects of campaign lies are real, as that so-called father seemed to believe Trump was going to make their lives look like The Handmaid's Tale. In Minnesota, the deep blue state that voted for Kamala, that just gave their Senate seat to a Democrat, that also has the Somalian-born congresswoman, that voted in America's first Somali mayor, that had a governor redesign their flag to look exactly like Somalia's flag, a country that has a very religious population, where many women do wear head coverings due to that religion, the same religion that prohibits and outlaws many other liberal ideologies. But by all means, if democratically Minneapolis wants to vote that in, let them do whatever they want. The same way I don't want a liberal president telling conservatives how to live locally, I don't think I should be able to supersede what allegedly the Minnesota residents want. I'm just pointing out how the Democrat machine fooled that idiot into thinking a Republican several states away in the White House is going to make your family look like that fictitious TV show while completely ignoring what is actually happening locally. And like I said from the start, this is the worst incident to happen recently, but likely won't be the last, as the Democrats
Hopefully
continue
it's the
to blame
last.
Trump supporters for Kamala's record-setting loss, meaning they didn't learn a single thing. They're just going to double down trying to scare their base into submission, already knowing the tragic consequences of this strategy. But if you appreciate my concise, sometimes lighthearted commentary on the tragic status of today's reality,
Sometimes lighthearted
hopefully I've earned your
commentary.
subscription, then go check out the video on how Kamala
Alright guys, I am gonna end my stream now. It is almost 4 in the morning, yes, so yeah, and I have somewhere to be tomorrow. Whoops. Anyways, yes, I hope you all have a great night. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Luisito, muchas gracias. Vou dormir agora. Muchas gracias pelo following me e falar comigo. Common, thank you so much for the follow. Graham, thank you so much for the follow. Chris, thank you so much for the follow. And Marcus, thank you again so much for the raid. I really appreciate that. And Zach, thank you so much for the lurk. I hope you have a great night. And yes, Chad Guy, also thank you for the follow. Ellie raided. Thank you, Ellie, so much for the raid. Danny Lops, thank you for the follow. And I think that is everything. I hope everyone has a great night, and I will likely stream again tomorrow. So I will see you guys then. Thank you so much. Oh wait, I forgot. Let me see if I can read some. You know what? I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna because I have to, like, it's so late already, so I'm just gonna go. Yeah, Vala Amir. Okay, thank you so much. Bye, guys. I'm not gonna read it after all, so yes, because I just have to go. All right. I hope you all have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.